Welcome everybody to Friends with Backlog. Today is September 9th, 2020. This show is based around just discussing the video games we have backlogged forever and trying to go through them and talk about them as we do so. We also play more current games sometimes, depending on what we're interested in, and have nice little full-on discussions. This week was NieR. So this is probably going to be a short discussion. There's not a lot to talk about with NieR. It's a very simple video game. Let me go ahead and make sure you guys know it. I'm your host, Frosty. We also have Brian, a.k.a. Orpheon, and Nick, a.k.a. Cammy. What's up, guys?
Hey. Yeah, it's good to be here. I like playing games where afterwards you kind of have to go read a wiki entry to find out everything that you think just happened.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't done that yet. Yeah, I've just been trying to interpret everything.
Twice, and I'm not going to lie, I wish I would have done it 3 or 4 times. Or I'm like, there's certain plot points I'm like, I'm fairly certain I did. I played that, right? I don't. Yeah.
So maybe to let you know, again, I've talked to somebody who is very in depth into the whole series and the Drakengard and all the NieR stuff and everything that Yoko Taro does. And he made videos on it, about 3 to 4 hours worth of videos talking about NieR, and I've watched it all. This is after I beat it.
Share that with us.
I did. I told you last week. It was Mr. Klimps. I told you. I didn't show it, but I told you about it.
Okay, fair. You did mention that.
I did mention it.
Start at here, so we all knew to check it out.
I wanted to have different perspectives. I wanted to be ahead of you guys a little bit, so I like, oh yeah, I know a little bit more. You guys, I understand you played the game, but did you do your research? It's okay.
Did you play it? But did you really play it?
No.
The answer is probably no.
So just let you guys know, go ahead.
Oh, my perspective is just my interpretation then. I looked up nothing.
Good.
So it is what I think it is.
I also didn't do a lot of the side quest because I got back when I figured out where I left off. I left off right with Nines when he was at the forest kingdom.
Yeah.
And I just kind of powered through that. It was right after he beat A2 again, or you guys go and beat A2 again. And then I hit a point. I beat that whole section with him, and then you noticed a couple little different things through his playthrough. But then after that, C was really hard for me because I was so I don't know what level were you guys when you went into C? Were you 40, 50, 60?
Probably like 40s.
I think I beat the game at level 46 or 47. So
okay,
probably not.
So I beat the game at like 60s or something, but I'm still playing it. I'm almost done with the side quests. I'm like 80 something right now.
Yeah. So I was 40, and then I was fighting little 60 robots, and I was like, this is kind of stupid. I'm like spending all day just kind of hitting it. I forgot about the chip system. I forgot that you lose your chips when you die. I forgot you had to go pick them back up. There's a lot of stuff I forgot about the game.
Yeah.
And so I was really underpowered and weak. And at some point, I was just like, fuck it. I'm not going to do medium. I'm just going to go to easy. We're just going to do easy. All right.
So you did Nick's Ghost like fishing pole strat.
Exactly.
Like, game
like when he played Ghost. Yeah. But here's the thing. Like I took it even a step further after a while, and I was just like, man, this is getting really annoying. And then I put those auto chips on, which I don't know if you guys know. In easy mode, they give you auto chips.
I didn't use those.
Yeah, I knew they existed, but it says can't equip them unless you're on easy mode. So for me,
it lets you automatically evade, automatically attack, automatically shoot, and you literally just walk up the things and kill it. I just hit some parts where I was just like, I'm exhausted, and I'm just so out of the loop of everything, and just powered through it. I don't feel bad.
So you didn't do the arena then?
No,
the arena would have broke you. There's 3 arenas, and they would have just destroyed you.
They would have. Absolutely.
Side quest talk.
Huh?
Yeah. I mean, I guess so.
I don't know what you're talking about with the arena. I don't.
There's 3 types of arenas. There's one that's just all out fighting, and there's 6 levels for each arena. The one that's all out fighting, one that you're robots for, and you like take possession of robots and you fight with the robots. And then the third one is just like special things like don't touch the ground on this one, or you can't evade on this one and stuff.
Yeah.
And you can't use items in the arenas.
Yeah. It's I didn't try it at all. I saw them. I found 2 of them. And I just said, I'm just going to make sure I beat the game. I'll come back. My idea was that I was just going to go ahead and just say, screw it. I've already botched this run. There's no way of me really recovering without just restarting over and kind of getting my mind back into the game. And so I was just going to go through it, and as soon as I was done, And then I'll come back and do a playthrough later on. Before they release the last crossover with Final Fantasy 14, I'll play it again.
When's that supposed to go? What happened?
That's probably like 6-7 months, but it's out there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you have plenty of time.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, so I went and watched those videos, and there's stuff everywhere. It's the lore, information about the story, things that just don't fit together. It's because this information does kind of exist in a few other places that are not in the game. For example, there was 2 stage plays.
Yeah, I only got 1.
I only got 1.
I got the Romeo and Juliet one.
No, not in the game. There's a NieR stage plays in Japan. There's 2 of them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
Okay.
There's 2.
Yeah, because it was like Robot and Juliet.
Yeah.
Like, which was really sweet, and I really liked everyone's response. All the characters' response to it was one of my actually favorite NieR things. Was the robot play.
Yeah, the robots were pretty good.
What's another piece of information I just would have had no idea?
There's also a drama CD somewhere where I think I don't really know too much about it. I think it's like listening to a drama on a CD. I don't know.
Okay.
There's a couple of little bits like why can't I remember his name? Emil.
He's my
I
buddy,
see the
right?
cooking guy when I say Emil, but
That's my buddy right there.
Oh yeah, he's in the background. Yeah, he has the whole thing where you have to be level 99, or well, he's level 99, right, to beat him.
Oh, they had the boss fight with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's stuff that I was like, I just don't have time for. But his stuff is actually in the previous game, which is NieR. This one is NieR Automata. The other one is just NieR whatever, which I think they might have remastered recently, or they're planning to remaster. I don't know.
So you said this game was created from a joke ending in NieR.
I believe so. Or I was in Drakengard. I can't,
because now I'm kind of curious, like how that. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. Do you?
There's lots of different endings, and basically this was like a joke ending in one of his video games, and he decided that we're going to make a full video game out of it, and it became his most popular video game.
Okay.
That's it. It was just something that was crazy. I mean, the story does seem absolutely ludicrous, with aliens coming out of what is just aliens are in the picture for some reason. They come in and put robots out in the world to Yeah.
Well, I guess that's instead of using like biological warfare, they just have machine warfare.
Yeah, I guess so.
And then
like evolving machines that can like learn. Yeah.
Which eventually just killed him, right? I think that was the thing.
Right.
They just killed the aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have to get into this because I read something that's very different that I'm now confused on.
Okay. What are you confused on?
No, that it wasn't the aliens that. The robots didn't kill the aliens. It was actually it was Adam and Eve. That when they went down,
Adam and Eve
they're robots.
the robots.
They're robots.
Yeah, but right, okay.
So Adam and Eve, the robots are like a sentient being. They're they're all just a collective being in a sense. And I thought that Adam and Eve was a representation of them when they delved into the human. All their backlog of information, all these archives that just came up around the time when we started playing the game, and so that was their dive into humanity to try to kind of live through it and discover it. And when they met us, they mentioned that they had killed the aliens. I just assumed that it was all machines that killed the aliens.
So what you're saying is the aliens, your equivalent of Skynet, they became sentient after reading human archives and then immediately turned on their masters. And then
well, the robots, yeah, the Skynet, yeah. The aliens created a Skynet, yeah.
That's kind of how I interpreted it, actually. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be honest, I wasn't really sure what happened. I mean, I understood the consequence of what happened, but I didn't know who technically caused it, or was there time gaps, kind of like were the aliens already dead? Because there weren't bodies or anything. It was just all, they just kind of tell you, oh, now the aliens are all dead. You're like, oh.
You saw bodies in, do you remember that blue room that was circular that you fought Adam and Eve in? There were bodies in the background.
There were alien bodies in like tube chairs and stuff.
Maybe I'll have to go back and look at it, because the way that I interpret those bodies, I'm like, everything were just like, it was like B2s.
Oh.
They were just everywhere.
Well, no, they were actually like ET looking aliens. They were like,
God.
They're
and you can get an alien
rotting
mask if
raisins.
you want to see what they look like.
Huh?
Oh.
You can get an alien mask too that you
yeah.
can wear as some reward and something that I got.
Right. I don't know. It's just like there's this whole story. A lot of it, like I kind of understood what was going on beforehand because there's so many people talking about it in the background of my of stream and other things when I was playing it before. People when they'd say things off to the side. So it wasn't surprising like to find out that humans weren't there anymore. Okay, I get it. They died of this disease that rampaged throughout or whatever the Geosk project was. I don't know. That's part of NieR, I think.
The Gestalt project? Is that what it was?
Yeah,
the
Gestalt, yeah.
Yeah, that was like the whole separation of soul and body and to try to prolong life and beat this thing that was killing them. There were 2 or 3 things. There was like dragon and 2 other things that were killing them, and they were trying to prolong death and become immortal in a sense. And they kind of mirrored that when they were going over the different towers, and they had like when you had to get the codes to break into the white tower at the end.
Yeah,
like you had to go into those black spires. There was one that was of the meat, which was the body, and one that was like of the something that was like the soul, and another one that was
soul box.
Yeah. So the whole time I interpreted it as like humans were trying to do this project to prolong their life, and the machines started to emulate that because everything they had done, all the emotions, the philosophy, and everything was just emulating what humans were doing through what they had researched. And so at the end, like even when they sent off, well, if you do the 9S, the 9S ending and you choose to actually join Adam and Eve, it sends off that capsule to go onto the moon, which is the same thing that they knew that the humans.
Well, they were actually going off into the moon. I think they were just shooting off into the sky and just seeing wherever it would go. Yeah.
Yeah,
so that's true. So there was speculation whether it was going off into the moon, but I think you're right. I think it actually just went to wherever. But they were trying to just live infinitely, just as much as like humans tried to.
Yeah. I think they were trying to prevent them from blowing up the moon. I think at the end was the thing, because that's what they thought they were going to do. Then they changed their mind and are like, oh, we're just going to go off and send ourselves off somewhere instead of blowing up the moon and killing all the... I kind of
thought that was a red herring. Like, they weren't actually going to blow up the moon. That wasn't the point of the tower. The real point of the tower was to launch this capsule thing that had machine information on it.
Completely possible. See, this whole fucking game is just like, it's a debate discussing a lot of this stuff with it, because some things you can kind of firm up, but there's so much stuff that's just still up to speculation. They keep talking about this whole like cycle of coming back, and eventually it's just going to all start again, because the machines, even though they don't ever learn, they just keep doing the same thing. They don't know how to like progress past doing what they think is the right answer. Like, so if they create a dictatorship, they're always going to create a dictatorship kind of thing. It's at least
and they mentioned, they said something like an essential part of like who the machines are is has like violence with it, so they can't not have an enemy to fight. So even though they pretended like they were killing the androids, they said they never could kill the androids because they always had to have something to fight, and if the androids weren't there, they would have nothing.
That was the one for sure, because they all had their own little treasures, I think, right? One was like violence and fighting, one was family, one was something else.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know, and I gotta ask you guys. So there were a couple spots where you had choices, especially with Pascal. When A2 first sees her, gives you a choice to kill her. Did you guys kill her?
I did both.
You did both? Because it ends the game if you kill Pascal.
Yeah. So I knew that was I knew that was an instant ending, so I killed her.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it was instant ending. So
if I had the choice, absolutely not. I was not going to kill Pascal. Pascal was my bestie.
Yeah. And then there's the other choice where you either decide to kill him or wipe the memory.
I did both, I think. Yeah.
You did both?
Yeah,
okay.
But you can, if you wipe the memory, there's some stuff you could do after.
Mm-hmm.
I wiped memory.
Yeah, and then she shows up in the camp, and she's selling children body parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a third choice you can actually do with her. You can just walk out of the room.
Oh.
And then nothing happens past that. So that's supposed to be like the most humane thing to do, because if you walk away, then she chooses her own fate. If she kills herself, she kills or he. Sorry, I get confused a lot. And that was the point.
I noticed that too when I actually had to went back and was reading synopsis of all the stuff when I beat it. That they said that Pascal was a he, but the voice
is he. Uncle Pascal. You know, it was he. He chose to be he, but the voice is a female voice actor.
Yeah,
and that was on purpose for sure. Because when you talk about gender and robots and everything, they chose their gender. I mean, that was part of the whole thing. They chose who they were going to be. And so that was a big thing they wanted to add into the game. But I keep, of course, hearing his voice constantly. It's very, it just program. He didn't fix it. Didn't fix it.
What's crazy is when I set this up over the weekend, I had it run for 8 hours straight. With no lull.
I don't know what it is. Maybe if I change the server, the Discord location for this, maybe I don't know.
No, because it happens when we're not on like.
Oh, okay.
Connected. It's
But yeah, no, that was interesting because there's all these little things that you can do that's just not completely obvious. I didn't know about that until I watched the videos that you could just walk out of the room, and that would have been the best
idea.
choice.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that.
No, not. That's pretty interesting.
Because, I mean, I don't know. There's so many things. This game did put a lot of thought and effort into at least making you think about the decisions and hot topics and political things that, I don't know. Last time we were talking, Brian, you're saying that it was one of those games that didn't really throw it in your face and wasn't like, spelling it out to you, explaining it to you like in a child's way, I guess. Do you still feel that way afterwards?
Yeah, well, I think the way that was framing it, like the choices they gave you, depending on a lot of games you would play, there's multiple choices, but there's kind of one correct answer that the game kind of wants to push you down or kind of narrate you. And with this game, all of the choices just felt really ambiguous, and especially because you're like, the game's not trying to direct you to a place, and whatever choice you make, the outcome of that is not going to be an obvious outcome that you necessarily think it's going to be. So, so it's sort of like kept you kind of on edge in a lot of ways. So,
yeah, you have to worry about your decisions a little bit. But I guess like I like this game. It does have its flaws. I couldn't stand some of the battles because of how the camera worked and how I felt like I just had no clue what was going on half the time. Like especially the ones with the big snake battles and stuff. That was kind of annoying. But I
agree. Yeah. Well, there was the spider battle somewhere. I don't know if it's 2B. No, it couldn't have been 2B. I don't remember. It was mostly black. I just remember just dodging, and attacking. And you're like, you're dead? Okay. I can't see anything. I was laughing because you were saying you put the auto command on. I just felt like I'm just constantly dodging and then attacking. You're just always holding down R1, constantly dodging, occasional attack, and then move. Like that was the whole game.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot more to it than I explored. Of course, I didn't do all the weapons and everything else. Nick, did you do all the weapons?
So I have right now I think I'm missing 2 or 3 weapons. I'm like 80 or 90% complete with the weapons. Okay. I found all of the cruel and victorious weapons, I think is what they're called. There's 4 of each. They're like the white and black weapons. So for the longest time, I think if you don't upgrade your pod at all, that you're just holding down R1 the whole time. Which, I'll be honest with you, that was one of my least favorite parts of the game because it kind of tired my finger just the way I had to have it set the whole time.
Yeah. I also did not upgrade my pod. I kept
well, if you upgrade your pod, you have like other abilities that you can hold it down and then it'll like charge it up, and then you could release R1 and then it'll do other things. So there's additional things that if you play it like a base level, I think it can be really annoying because you're just dodging and firing the whole time.
I'll let you know, when I put on those auto chips, it switched weapons and it was doing all kinds of crazy shit and changing the pod settings, and it was just like optimizing every single second of what was going on. I was like, there's no way. It was doing combos and insane dodges and just jumping out. I was like, there's so much you could do in this game, and there's no way I could ever do any of it. I can see where the intentions went, but there's just too much mechanically to operate.
So when you fought Hegel in the desert, were you on easy mode at that point, or did you move?
The big snake guy in the desert? Is that...
Yeah, it's the big
the balls that
Yes, that's actually, I think, around the point I went into easy mode, because I was like, man, I'm really low level and I'm not doing anything and I'm dying in a couple of hits. You know, I just need to figure out how to at least make this a little bit more fun. I couldn't go back and chapter select at that point, so I couldn't go back and level up. I had to go try to find places to level, and it just felt like everything was just walking through quicksand. I was just like, I looked at advice. I was like, how do I level up? What's a good way to do it? And they were just like, just turn on easy mode and go do some stuff. I'm like, okay, turned on easy mode, put on. I was like, do you want to put on auto chips? Sure, I might as well see what it is. Forward. All right, it's working.
So there's two places I found to level up that worked out pretty well for me, and I only did some grinding a little bit. There's you know where you first fight Adam, where he first is born in that desert area.
Yeah.
Yes.
I ended there on accident. Not accident. I didn't know where I was going, and I had to fear again. And I realized that is a great place to farm. But
yeah, they just always spawn.
That was the thing. I was like, oh, I'll re-kill this, and then I killed them, and they all spawn again. You're like, oh no, I gotta leave. I don't want to do this. I did not play this game to farm.
No.
You know where you fight Adam in his makeshift city, the White City.
Yes,
so in there, there's mobs that just continually spawn. They never end, just like the desert. So if you want to go to either one of those, it's actually not that hard. It takes I think I was doing a level every
You throw in the EXP chips as well, and it's it helps out a lot.
Yeah, I had all those as well. Yeah.
Yeah. But I just hit a point to where I was just too much for me to think about, too much for me to worry about, and I was just like, I just want to see how this works out. And it wasn't actually unenjoyable to do it, because it was fun to see all the crazy shit it was doing while I was watching. Just being in awe about what level you could really get to with this game. And you can go to the very hard extreme levels where it kills you in one hit, and there's people who do it.
The end of the game for me was one hit death the whole time. I was actually way like you, Mark. I was way underpowered, because after Route B, I stopped killing. I didn't kill a single mob. It was all bosses. I just fast forwarded, unless it made me, which just sometimes take a while. I actually at one point I realized I feel like I'm doing a speed run.
Yeah,
it
was very painful with the part where you're playing with nines and you get hacked, or all the bots start getting hacked and all the Yorha people get hacked and are infected or whatever, and they start attacking you and you're just running from them the entire time while you're trying to do whatever you're trying to do. I didn't try to kill them. And so I'm just running and dodging, running and dodging, and running and dodging, and just trying to get a couple hits on that big robot so I can stop whatever is he's doing.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to kill him. That's the story plot, because he's putting up a jammer or something. And
yeah, I didn't run on that. I didn't know they would spawn it seems infinitely, so I just kept killing them. And then after 20 minutes, I was like, there's something wrong here. I need to be doing something.
Yeah. I think I did try to kill him a little bit. I was like, they just keep coming, so maybe I'll just back out and just run. And so I did that.
Wait, which guy?
I died a lot, though.
Which guy?
When you start getting jammed, when it has the tower guy and he has the little electricity going off in his head, and all of the Yora people are are consumed by the virus and they're attacking you. It's at the very beginning of C, I think.
Yeah, at the beginning of C. That's when I start having a lot of trouble. It's you go down and you're in the big black suit with 2B, and you're going, and everyone else are in the black suits, and
yes,
it was weird going into that one too, because it had like a preview section, like it was this isn't what's coming up in the DLC, but it wasn't DLC. It was just the continuation of it, really, I think. I don't think.
Yeah, and it had like credits, so I was like, it was like they're like, oh, this is where the game actually starts. Here we go.
Yeah,
like, it was weird.
It was a little bizarre because I was like, oh, am I not supposed to do this? I don't like. Am I supposed to buy something now? But it just goes straight into it, and it's. I don't know. I thought it was interesting, but it was just such a high jump for like difficulty wise on medium setting that I felt like I had to go farm, and that didn't seem fun to me. So I just didn't care at that point. I was just like, who am I proving anything to?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I refuse to, like, unless it's a game I'm enjoying. I hate farming now. Like, and that was actually another thing why I didn't upgrade anything unless I had it, because basically I killed everything I saw in Route A, everything. And then I would still go and like, oh, do I have the upgrades? Nope, still don't have the materials. Like, shit, I never have the materials, ever.
I think you have to kill animals a lot or something. Nick, how do you get most of the upgrades?
There's a few weapons. I think I only had to kill animals like at like grade 3 to 4 for the upgrades.
Never didn't even think about it. I left those poor boar and mooses alone.
Also, like, a lot of the upgrade materials that you need, you eventually can get almost all of it through shops. Just buy them all.
I didn't look at a lot of shops either, because I
did towards the very, very end, because I'm like, maybe I need to upgrade some stuff, and they weren't selling what I needed. I was like, damn it. Like, I was like, I have still pod level 1. Yeah. This is ridiculous. I'm about to go beat pods. Yeah, I know. I just do.
Did you Gatling gun?
No, actually, towards the end, I stopped using the Gatling gun. I used only missiles because I didn't have to actually deal with targeting, and so that was.
Oh, you found the other pods then? There were 3.
Well,
pods.
there were 3. Yeah. I had missiles and Gatling, and that was it.
Oh, okay. There's a laser one too. I don't even know where I found them. I know one of them you can fish, and one of them I got in the desert.
You know what? Now I'm getting it all mixed up.
It's not hard to get mixed up in this game. Don't worry.
But they were all level 1. That I know for certain.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know I didn't find the game. I did a lot of side quests as I was doing it though, so I didn't really find it difficult at any point until I got to the arena, and that's when I was grinding levels. Because there's this point in the arena where you have to recommended level 80, and at the very end of it, it's one-shot kills. It doesn't matter how high level you are. If they kill you and there's 3 people that are constantly attacking you. You just have to dodge and hope you're gonna live. It's rough.
Did they do like the Breath of the Wild arena, like when they finally brought in the arena, and then it's just like that's actually the hardest thing to do in the entire game is in Breath of the Wild is that arena.
Okay, so it's something like that, but Breath of the Wild I think does such a better job. Where Breath of the Wild, I don't know, I really liked how they had like the stages and then the in between stages where you can like rest and get items and cook, and then more stages, and it wasn't just like here's a bunch of enemies. It was like, let's try to find a clever way sometimes of killing all of these enemies. Whereas in NieR, just here's enemies, I'm going to kill them. I'm just going to shoot them and they're going to die. Okay. I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
The irony was I was underpowered towards the end of the game, but I died so much more in the beginning of the game. I almost never died towards I died maybe once on Route C, but random. Oh, I know what I did.
I died a lot on Route C until I turned on easy.
One time, but I got clipped. Oh, that's what it was. I picked up a dead body, and when a mob came, it was on top of me, and so my person was like trying to collect it, and what happened? Just I like exploded. I was like, I'm just dead. Okay, that was shit.
Did you guys have a hard time when 2B was infected and limping her way to wherever her dying place was?
So yes. I had a problem with that because you know how they have like the big like gaping hole where the tower ended up being in the city. I fell in that and I was like, I can't get out, and I can't jump. Like, it took forever because every I don't know 30 seconds you can jump and then it goes away. So it took me a long time.
It took me 3 times, but those 2 first times
it took me like 8 times. Like I had a hard time because I just couldn't figure out exactly what I was supposed to do because I knew I needed to jump. But the thing is, right when I got to the point that I was supposed to get to, there's 10 robots behind me, and then I was so underpowered they just crush me and I die.
Oh yeah, I would take 2 hits. What helped me? Did you do the speed run guy?
No.
So
I
that's
didn't do
why.
it. Yeah.
Because it's because of him that instead of going down, I just ran around because I'm like, oh, this is how I knew how to do the route from doing the speed run with that guy. So that just felt natural, except for, do you know that big branch that you jump across, Nick, on the speed run?
Yeah.
That when you finally get up on top there's 3 other giant robots, and the first way that they spawned, I was like, did the game glitch out? I don't even know why this mob is here, let alone in this spot. But they're specifically there because they know when you're glitching out in that run.
Yeah.
They just put it. Only time those mobs are there the whole game is only when you do that part.
Yeah.
You know that speedrun, I remember you talking about it last time because you did it and I hadn't done it yet, and you said the third one was hard for you. Honestly, the third one was easy for me. I did that like second or third try. The second one, I did that like 30 times. I was like really struggling with the second one.
That's so funny. Well, it was like I was having really struggle until I realized I could equip chips and or take until literally the final boss, other than that speedrun, I didn't use a single item to give me like 30-second boost of attack power or none of them.
I didn't use potions or items or whatever the entire. All I had was the medium recoveries, and I put that on the auto.
You didn't do it until you let your Skynet version do it for you.
Yeah. It was great. It was great. But I mean, I didn't even need that when I was on the easy mode because she just dodged everything anyways. It's not like she was taking damage, or whoever I was playing at the time. Yeah. I did when I was finishing up Nines. I made sure I did so much hacking. I just hacked everything and blew everything up.
Everything. Oh my god! Because that's how you realize. Because when he would hack, he would do like half damage, and when at that point you probably scaled that your sword does nothing. And you're like, if I can't hack, I can't kill anything.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was.
That's where I was at the whole game. Even when I switched to like A1, I was like, oh, she does not do
that
the
was
damage.
Actually.
Huh? You there, Nick?
That was my biggest learning curve with the. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Yeah. Oh, you're good.
Yeah, I had some weird internet thing.
Okay.
That was my biggest learning curve in the game, actually, was hacking, because there's some like pretty difficult like hacking sections, and I was not great at that. I was fine fighting with everything, but moving the little dude around and shooting stuff was a little bit of a pain for me.
I actually didn't have too much trouble with it. I will say the auto chips do stuff as well. I didn't before I used the auto chips. I didn't have any issues with hacking. That's why I went through Nines without using any of it, because it was just so easy for me to do it, because it felt natural. I mean, I'm using this. I am using the Steam controller.
Oh,
I got used to it somehow.
No wonder you got to easy.
Yeah, no, so I was doing it, but I do notice after you use the chips, like it dodges every bullet, everything in the hacking, and it's like impossible to get hit, and you can get like crammed into sections, and your guy's just like flipping out, just trying to like move everything, and so like it won't even get near the red blocks that do damage to you. It's like a magnet that just pushes you away. It's so bad. I was like, I don't really need this.
You legitimately went bowling with the bumpers.
Yeah. And I thought it was pretty funny. It doesn't work during the ending E, but it was something that was I thought was hilarious. I thought I was going to break it by just getting pushed into a corner and getting stuck and not being able to do anything, but it worked out.
By the end, the only chip I wanted, that when I took damage, I had a 2-second window of invulnerability.
Oh yeah.
And I will tell you, anytime I got hit and just immediately using down and then using a healing pot, that became.
I didn't even do that. Nature. Like I would have the phone in an auto pot.
I almost however much gold I acquired, 30K or 300K. 250 of that was healing pots.
Really?
Yeah. Like the whole so many healing pots, so many medium pots.
So I didn't buy any of those. My favorite chips were the overclocking chips, and I made sure I overclocked with the most amount of seconds. So I always had like slow, and you could do tons of stuff when you're in slow. And then the other thing was auto heal. So I didn't use pots. I just kept dodging, and then and I had my auto heal where if I was out of combat for 6 seconds, I didn't get hit for 6 seconds. I was full health from like nothing in like I don't know, 4 or 5 seconds. It just instantly just back.
So that's what I had up through Route A. At some point in the final boss of Route A, I died and didn't pick up my body again, and I had 4 of them. So I had all my chips were the auto heal. I was like, okay, I'll just dodge for 6 seconds, and it would just go. At some point, I died, didn't pick it up, but that's the one where I beat it. So those chips were gone, and I never saw another one. That's another weird thing. I don't know what I didn't understand. When you're connected online, you see dead bodies, you retrieve them, you say your prayer, you pick up the items. I never got those items. It would tell you that you don't.
They're temporary boost. They're like you get them and you get them as a temporary effect.
I was gonna look it up because I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Because I'd be like, ooh, +7 to attack. This is gonna be great. And then you look at it, and you're like,
your character, there's like a little
icon, and it flashes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing though. I was like, where are my chips? I'm getting these cool chips. It wasn't there.
Well, the reason why I noticed it when I got an auto heal, and I was like, oh, finally, I get another one. And they weren't in my inventory, and I was a sad panda for sure. But it's sad.
Yeah. I mean, I really didn't like having to go back and pick up my chips for my body. I felt like that was just a little
it wasn't obvious. I would be standing on the map. I'm like, okay, I'm here where it says it. I can't see my body. That was something I think they should have highlighted and made it a little more visible, because I'm like, I'm on a blade of grass and I still can't see me.
Yeah.
I struggled with that. Maybe around.
So I'm gonna seem like an ass again. I only picked up my body once, and that was during one of my early fights. I don't think I ever died after that, because in the arena, if you die, you don't lose anything.
Pro gamer, dude.
Yeah.
No, I just think I just was like much higher level than everything that I was fighting.
That's true. You did grind, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. It sounds like you grinded a little bit. Yeah.
You just do the side stuff.
Literally twice the level we are.
Yeah.
So it helps out like a lot.
And so, I mean, like, after that, I was just like, I just fudge this, and I'll just come back, and I'll power level, I'll do all crazy stuff, and I'll blast through it, and maybe even try it. I don't know if hard mode is too hard. I know the one after it is way too hard. I would never do it, but maybe hard mode, I could look into trying it.
I think once you get dodging down, most of the game's not hard. Like, honestly.
Yeah, if you could,
Like, that's how I felt about it.
Well, I didn't have it down, so I didn't have the right chips to make it easier either.
Or the right controller. Maybe it was a Steam controller.
Maybe it could have been the Steam controller. I did play Sekiro with that too, by the way. And I beat Sekiro with it.
Yeah, you should be fine then.
Yeah.
Because honestly, actually, do you know when you're in Sekiro, before you learn perfect parry timing, and you just kind of do the quick tap?
I think
essentially. Well, because there's a cheat when you're doing the parry where your guy just kind of does like a duck.
Oh.
It's a cheat until you learn perfect parry technique. I felt like dodging was like that. You're just kind of doing a lot of just tap, sliding through, and you're gonna get mostly perfect dodges that way. Like,
and it's going to time out some way in your favor. Yeah.
Like that final fight with where it's transitioning between the aerial combat and then you're fighting the giant kind of post library, the spider bot. God, that fight took so long because I don't know how I was just not strong, but it was just that you're dodging to the point where I'm like, this is ridiculous. At some point, I feel like I'm going to get hit by something. But my hands were so tired. I don't know if that fight took me 20 minutes or 25 because it just.
I was eating dinner while the fight was happening. To be honest with you.
That was my favorite fight of the game. I loved like that transition.
It switched
going
back so much. Like I just noticed it kept switching back. I felt like it was just a little too much at the end. It's just I would get it down its health pool like in a half a second, then it would just switch over to the other one because my guy was just like destroying him.
Yeah,
but
I didn't really.
So which one did you destroy first? Was it the aerial, the aerial one?
I don't remember. Aerial one.
Because my aerial one was so far ahead that I kept going back to the aerial, and I'm like, but I'm only half health on the other one. This is gonna be a while.
I don't even know if I saw the health bar on the aerial one anymore. It would just kind of go back. And, like there's no health bar, it's just attacking him. It's like, is he dead already? It's just not in the right time for him to die or something. I don't know.
That's what I think they have to die at the same time. So if you do the aerial one too quick, then it'll just keep going back to him and then back over to A2 and then back over. I like how they continued that afterwards too, in the fight where they joined, and then you kept like glitching and switching between 9S and A2. I thought that was pretty cool. I like that whole like battle sequence.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. I will say the way 9S died and hit when he killed A2, whichever. It's A2, right? Not A1. It's A2.
A2.
Okay.
It's A2. Yeah.
But like how he just fell on the sword and like painfully like kind of groaned out and wailed.
I was like, did he accidentally kill himself?
Yeah, I thought it seemed like it. I figured like her sword must have she got the last hit in or something. Like that.
Yeah, she was just like, her last motion, and he fell into it because he wasn't paying attention and being stupid.
But I was surprised.
I made a note. I'm like, I need to go back and watch the video of this ending because it really looked like he's like, I will kill you, and I killed you so much that I stabbed myself. I was kind of confused how that happened. I'm like, I was sober playing this, so I was like, I have, and I don't know how I missed that one, but
yeah, you don't need any alcohol or anything for this game to be out a little bit confusing and weird. It was just, I just remember because it stuck with me. It stuck with me a lot.
I like all the confusing and weird stuff and the stuff that's up to interpretation. That's kind of actually what I like about a lot of animes that I really enjoy. I love that aspect.
You might like the other NieR, and you might like Drakengard. I haven't played any of those, but I don't think the games are not supposedly as good gameplay wise. So this wasn't like a masterpiece gameplay wise, but it's better than what the previous ones were. I mean, Ryoko Taro does some weird stuff, and some of his characters are definitely fan servicey.
Yeah,
but I mean, they have stories that make it not be about the fan service and more about how ridiculous the story is. But I mean, the draw is always there for the fan service stuff.
Okay.
One of the things that we hadn't talked about that I thought was kind of interesting, and maybe one of you guys actually know the right answer since you read through it and watched it, was Emil. And the way it seemed to me was based off of like that one scene where you see the robot die and then a head that looks like Emil roll off. That's when you can go into the forest area for the first time.
Yeah.
And then when you meet Emil and just him talking, he has a story about when they're killing the aliens, he decides as a best tactic that he'll replicate himself as many times as possible. And that's how they beat the aliens. So I kind of thought that almost all the robots that you're seeing now are just versions of Emil that he originally made a long time ago. That's why they all have the same shaped head as he does too.
I mean, maybe. I don't think I saw anything about it. I could be mistaken. I don't feel like that was a piece of information I got. I know that like there's some weird stuff going on with him, and I can't remember all the details to it. But there is a dedicated section of lore that is worthwhile looking into about him in the previous game, and coming to this one. And so, I mean, he's a fan favorite. I think in the end, he wanted to be with his friends that weren't there anymore, and that somehow played into all of it. I don't know all the details of it though, because I didn't really look that far into his story. But
he kind of has like a couple side stories that are a little long that give you like some picture stuff with it and kind of go a little bit more into what I was saying too. But yeah, maybe there's a lot more into it. Maybe I just read too much into that as well.
Maybe.
You might not have, though. I mean, if you told me that was a fan theory, I'm like, that seems valid.
There's so many.
Because there was a comment they made that all the heads look the same, and then when his head pops out, they're like, "Oh, why do they all look like him?" And that is actually notable that they said that.
Yeah.
I didn't, connect anything past that, but.
Yeah. And it says in chat, Emil's story is very sad, which is something that I know is true. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Like every story in this game sad. Every single side
that's
quest
a fair point. What's not a sad story?
Yeah, every side quest is tragedy. Every single one.
I don't know. I mean, some of the robot ones aren't complete tragedies. I think, right?
All the robot ones I remember were like there was something awful that was going on, and they were just like
had robot children all commit suicide. They were so fearful. Like
it's pretty bad.
Did you find the wise robot at all?
The wise one?
There's 3 of them, and you hack them, and as you're hacking them, it's just like has all these existential questions that he's asking himself and ends up not being able to resolve them, and they just commit suicide. Like they're just like, why is everything so alone and hateful and blah blah blah.
No, I think I read this too, which has made a point that there is an element about all the robots. So another large theme of this is that every being, creature, robot, whatever entity has to have a purpose, a very specific purpose.
Yeah,
and
their
once
treasure thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and so once that purpose is taken away, it's gone. Remember, I laughed last time. It seemed funny when I was playing the speed robot, and eventually, once you beat him 3 times, the speed robot has no more purpose and just self-destructs. I was like, well, you didn't need to kill yourself, buddy. Like,
Right.
I don't even want to be the fastest.
Yeah.
But I think that's a larger theme that's running through everything, right? Through even everything has to have a purpose. Without a purpose, it's literally self-destruct.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. No, I would say that would work out pretty well, and
that's probably the larger theme of the entire game, actually. The only obvious theme that they lay down.
well, I wouldn't say the only obvious theme. I would say it was definitely
What's
the
another
main core theme. Huh?
What's another obvious theme?
Another obvious theme. Okay. That fear can sometimes be a bad thing and make you kill yourself instead of actually making you avoid.
See that? Right, yeah, right. So that's what they're saying. Most of that fear all came from secondary things of purposelessness or without drive, without praying. So that still ties into that main primary theme of needing a reason to do something. Well, maybe not. I mean, the kids killing themselves because they became too human.
Yeah, they were just too scared. That's why they killed themselves.
Yeah, that's actually one of the themes that I thought, like humanity leads to struggle just in general. Because when the robots started to behave more human-like, that's when all of these problems started to happen with their emotions and things like that. And before that, it was mechanical, it was routine. This is just what they did, for the most part. And the Forest King story is a little different, but
there's also this other thing that you wouldn't pick up on unless I think you played NieR beforehand. Like they didn't come from Emil. They actually came from someone else in the NieR universe. I think I can't remember who it was, but it was something I think maybe selfish that was happening at the end of it, and then it caused this whole crazy eruption of whatever is happening now, and they even symbolized him as a volcano or something, as a god in one of the little mini stories, but I can't remember.
Didn't they? Okay, well, a lot of the mini stories were during the robot like religion uprising. Was that during that?
Well, a lot of the mini stories were during 9S's playthrough, right? They threw that in as like extra little.
Well, that's when that happened too, though. But I remember I think that's when they first started to get introduced, was during the religious uprising. Maybe not.
The religious thing happened in both of them, though, right? In 2B and 9's.
Did it? Yeah. Oh, it did. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, because you played aside from 9's and where you take over robots and stuff to help 2B. Yeah. And you know what's funny about this? Like, we can talk about this a lot, and half of it might be coming out of our ass because it's so confusing to like actually have a solid.
I'm fairly convinced half of what I'm saying is like me remembering a different lifetime that's not real.
Yeah, because it's just so disconjointed and weird. And there's people who have studied this a lot more than us, but we're giving it the perspective of three just average guys. Just playing a weird ass video game and trying to understand it afterwards. From a recollection of it, and I don't know.
Well, and right, I feel like that's not the point, right? Like, it's the kind of game, like, it wants to create breadcrumb trails that if you want to care about the characters and story, dive deep and have fun, but it's not what it's trying to communicate as you're like playing through the game, right? Because like it's clearly not, because at some points, like some of the story jumps are so conventionally or so unconventional as to be like borderline like, is this game trolling me the whole fucking time? Like in every aspect of the game, where even some of the level design and some of the boss fights are like, oh, he's just trying to piss me off. This whole thing here is trying to piss me off. Which the more you told me about the creator, and you're like, this might actually be true.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he's He's just fucking around. And that's actually a lot of backlash that he's getting for stuff that he's doing for a crossover for Final Fantasy 14, is that that's not there. It's very plain and very normal. And a lot of people who like NieR are just like, what the fuck is this? This is this isn't anything that's Yoko Taro. This is just a regular Final Fantasy 14 storyline that has some elements and assets from the video game. And it just doesn't...
well, maybe because you have one that's a little more straight and then the other one that's more obtuse, that they can both help each other when you combine them.
No. It just needs to be obtuse. That's it. It just needs to be. Hopefully, he has one more chance. He's already had two raids in the game, and he's getting one more to really make it crazy. Maybe it'll be the announcement of the next NieR. There's a NieR mobile game that's coming out soon, I think, too.
Yeah.
It's a gacha game, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay, nice.
I thought it was going to have
so you might like it.
So it's like playing Asteroids on your phone.
Aptroids?
Asteroids.
Oh, Asteroids. No. I wish I would play that.
Was an advanced version of Asteroids. Like when you're playing this, you're like, oh, this is an Atari game modernized for modern era.
I also feel like a lot of people who did the game design had a lot of fun with the game engine that they're playing with, and they just like start crossing stuff over. Like it just seemed like it was not difficult. I'm not a game designer, but it didn't feel like a lot of things that they did. It was just kind of creative. They're like, all right, now we're going to put you actually in the hacking world, and you're a physical presence in there. Like I didn't realize that what they were creating was already 3D and already something that they could probably just throw you in there. And it'd be pretty seamless, which it was. I thought it was just like an overhead game. But they just took that one engine and just kind of had fun with it and did all these little different weird things. It reminded me a little bit, it's so completely off track and probably not even as relevant as I think it is, but, of Undertale and RPG Maker, where they just kind of manipulated the engine to be whatever they wanted it to be and then kind of had fun with it. And so whatever game engine they were working with, they just kind of tested the bounds, and then they're like, okay, what can I do with this, and flip the perspective and make this neat game that changes into different types of gameplay throughout the entire game. I thought that was pretty cool. Whoever did the game design, they knew what they were working with, which I don't see that too often, or at least I don't see people be that creative with the game engine.
Well, so I was listening to a podcast a couple months ago, and it was with game developers. And do you remember? God, we need a bingo card. So do you remember in this specifically? We're talking about Last of Us.
Yeah.
So, anyways, there's a part where you're in the car and you're in a truck. You're in the truck. It's one of the first times you get attacked by the other group that shows up. And there's a part where you're shooting it, and the perspective of the game switches to the front of the game. And from us, it looked seamless. But from the game developer, they were sort of throwing their arms in the air going, you have no idea they just switched systems seamlessly. Like how impressive that is. It is rare as hell, and how they did it so perfectly. And he's like, yeah, game players are just going to feel like it just was a little swivel and it was a simple transition, but they had to completely swap systems in the middle of pulling all that off. And they're just like, that is one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in game design. So
maybe they did that a lot with NieR. I don't know. Maybe I'm underplaying it.
Well, that's probably happening, but they were distinctly swapping systems. And I have a feeling, are you thinking of like the color palette changes?
Not color palette changes. I mean, that's stuff, but I mean, like when, you would go from just a regular kind of 3D game to a side scroller to in the hacking world, you're now a 3D game instead of an overhead. They just, all those were the exact same game engine, just in different perspectives to give you a different experience.
Right. So I'd be curious how they switched those systems, right? I bet you there's probably very specific design elements that are, each element we see is its own system, and you're actually moving through systems without realizing. Yeah. That's what I would expect from a design point of view, but I've never worked with anything like that.
When A2's story, like when she was going through and all the red dress girl stuff, what did you think about the girls in the red dress, by the way?
The initial two red dress girls?
The creepy like Resident Evil hologram.
My first thought when I saw the two, it was The Shining, the two girls from The Shining.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
I was like, oh, they're. I think that's what they were tapping into. It's usually when you have two twin little girls, they're creepy.
This is actually a very common theme in his stories, and this red dress girl is actually in multiple other games too.
What's the creator's name?
Yoko Taro.
I would assume Yoko Taro is a Shining obsessive. Probably. I would not be considered.
Yeah,
that wouldn't surprise me at all.
No. It was interesting because there's some lines in there, like they were saying A2, glad to see you again, but there's no way you would know anything about that unless if you watched a stage play that was a very small thing in Japan about what happened. So that whole line just kind of caught me off guard too, because apparently A2 is familiar with the resistance camp leader and familiar with these two hologram girls and everything else. But
you could read it all. It's in the game.
Is it?
Yeah, there's a long story that you can read. You know that terminal that's behind the resistance leader? You can't click on it until a certain point. And then there's this whole Pearl Harbor story that's like 4 or 5 chapters. And it's all text. And you could it's actually kind of long.
I didn't even know that.
You read it all?
Yeah, I read it all. It talks about how Anemone, is that her name or something like that? How her and
Emerane or something like that. Emerane. You mean the resistance camp leader?
Yeah. It just talks about how they were trying to destroy the robot. Actually, they were trying to do something that they thought would have been a cornerstone in them destroying the robots, and they were together, and she thought A2 had died in the process, and she ended up living, and she felt really guilty about that. And it just goes like in depth about their whole story.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, maybe you don't have to watch a stage play. Maybe it is just something that's in there.
I just interpreted it as part of. I felt like A2 had an enormous backstory that you just show him she's just pure rage, but we never get it. And I always felt like it was something much deeper than just purely quote machines killed my fellow androids and I'm after it. I don't know. There was something about it, and the way that she was clearly self-excommunicated from the whole system that you're like, oh, this girl, she's seen some shit. So when she knows people and showing up, I just all bake that in. Like, see you again. You're like, yeah, she's definitely seen some stuff. But in terms of connecting it to a larger story, I didn't. The Pearl Harbor, so I didn't know that. But
they also talk about her being one of the first Yora models that was designed specifically to kill the machines, and like I assume there were like flaws along with that android model, and there were probably recalls and for just different things with.
For example, the berserk thing that I used once, and I realized how stupid it was because it just kills you. It doesn't really do a lot of extra damage.
If you're because I be healing, just heal through it and then just blow stuff up.
I had no luck with it at all. I felt like it was just so clunky that it killed me immediately every time. But maybe I didn't have the right chipset to deal with it. I don't know.
Did they allow you to do berserk mode on easy mode?
Yeah. I did it on hard mode too. Yeah, it kills me on easy mode too. So I don't know. It was there's so many weird kind of goofy things too, like the example that she slowly started to become like 2B because she had her memories that were transferred over her sword, which I guess the swords are like a little Android USB or something, and you get it and then you just
so that's what I thought.
Yeah. Which just kind of came out of nowhere to me. But then that means all the other swords, like the legendary weapons, have all this lore and background and everything else. Maybe you're taking in some of their memories. I don't know.
That's why they have the weapon stories that you can read.
Yeah.
So as you upgrade them, you can read more of the stories with them.
Huh?
Look at the weapon stories. Because if you go in the menu, it's right there.
Yeah.
I didn't look at any of it. I kept my same weapon, and that's it.
I didn't get to see many stories because they never got upgraded very much.
One of the things I really liked though was the changes in perspective. I like the duality with the whole thing, and I like my favorite writer is Murakami, and like almost every book that he has, there's 2 perspectives that are going on in every single book, I just kind of grab it. I really love that stuff. So I liked at the beginning when you're going between 2B and 9S, and then I liked when it's part C and you're going between 9S and A2, and you get to choose what stories and what order you want to play. I thought that was a really cool idea. And even to the end when they're switching around, like in the last battle. But I know I was kind of curious in what you guys did. I know when I got to choose what stories I was playing, I tried to flip flop them evenly. So I would play like A2 and then 9S and A2 and 9S. But I saw that it allowed you to play like all of A2 if you wanted to.
Yep. I did back and forth. I was like A2 first and 9S and just kind of evenly went back until it just forced me to do it whatever way that they were wanting me to do it.
I did A2 until they forced me to play 9s.
Oh. He became like an angry little guy, man.
How did you feel he actually ripped off his I want to call his face mask? You actually saw his eyes. It felt so weird. It was like, oh.
Yeah, they're a little bit too like wide, and they're a little bit like just like, wow, this is a boy. He is young. And it starts to widen, and you're just like, I don't know. I think his voice actor was really awesome, though. To be honest with you, like he had a lot of emotion between like what he was saying. So I don't know. I just assumed he turned into a crazy, insane kid that was just so angry. But the problem with 9S that they put in the whole story is that they had to constantly kill 9S because he was always intelligent. Like he would just always figure things out, and so they had to keep killing or killing him. And,
they're right. That
2E's purpose was
essentially at the end was always to kill him because he built in with that curiosity will always learn the truth, and then the cycle would just keep. Well, because were they on the 14th or 16th cycle of this where the androids come out and then the androids become too like they basically are fighting the machines, and then once they become too powerful, then the whole self-destructive cycle happens, and then they're back to square one, and then the android. It's like this weird nature balance, right? We were on number 16 of the site. It says it somewhere in the beginning, where it's like the 16th robot war, and I assume that means like it's the 16th cycle of that same repetitive.
You're probably right.
Nah,
someone knows that.
I'm not even sure, man. Oh, actually, it was 9S who was the source of everything, but a different version of him in the previous NieR. I think that caused everything. Yeah. I think that's part of the story. That's what I remember now. And that actually ties in because at the very beginning of the game, one of the big quotes was like, I wonder why God would ever I wonder if I'll ever get to kill God. As 2B's having this kind of like monologue thing, and that was supposed to be a thing where she's killing God constantly over and over again because that was 9S who started this whole crazy explosion of the robots and androids. I don't know. At least that's what I think. So,
but what I thought part of it was his rage in the end wasn't just him being angry about watching 2B die and then his being just mad at the machines in general, but it was the way that Adam and Eve, I forget which one, had infected the machine that got enraged, that he was actually infected, but he was slowly fighting it off compared to everyone else. And then by the end, he was fully infected, which is why he had like the red eyes. Yeah. I think it's like when you choose, oh God, I feel like I'm screwing this whole up. Like when you choose A2 in the end, he's fully gone. Like he's fully infected rage, like all the other machines that have the red eyes.
I kind of looked at it. Maybe a couple different things. Like definitely I think B2's death like affected him a lot, and I kind of looked at it like is that it was his purpose to be with her and keep her alive, and since the machines had infected him on a certain level, they had like driven that purpose into him, just a need for a purpose. I also thought that like I mean I think it was also the infection. I think that there was something else I was going to say. I thought there was like kind of three things that were kind of driving him in that direction.
It's funny you say that. So you remember when Adam is hacking into him or something during that whole like stage, that little hacking stage you have, and Adam's kind of talking to you, and then they have that little thing that you look at and it's like start out. Oh, do you want to beep her or whatever? You remember that, the star 4. The 4 letters of whatever that is.
Yeah.
Do you remember that, Brian? No, you don't remember reading that. It was one of those little shock things. It was like, oh, you really want to, and everybody was like, oh, you really want to fuck her, and it's like, yeah,
yes. Okay, I misinterpreted the question you'd asked. Yes, when it was like getting in his consciousness and all those answers coming out, and one's like, oh, do you really want to fuck her? And I remember thinking like, wow, that.
But yeah. So apparently that's the obvious thing that everyone thinks, but it's actually not really clear if that's actually supposed to be fuck or kill or love. Like there's other words and like in other translations of the game, it's like
love is generally blurted out.
Usually.
Well, no. I mean, it was like for some reason, because why wouldn't they star it out? You know, besides, is there a reason why it had to be starred out? Would it lose its rating? So, I don't feel like this game would have been like any less.
Was there any other curse in the game, verbal or was there any other curse words in the game, verbal or spoken?
I can't remember.
I want to say there was.
I feel like there were too. I just can't think of them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, I know the other thing about 9S that I thought triggered him was his when he found out that humanity was kind of a lie. That his whole purpose for like saving humanity was a lie. I think it was just like all that stuff was kind of just messing with his head and put him in this rage where he just couldn't see anything but just death in front of him and meaninglessness.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like he was having a Memento situation where he's keep having the same cycle.
Yeah.
And then once he figures it all out, he has to get wiped again. It's like, oh, poor guy.
Yeah. Yeah. It was such a I don't know. I'm glad. So overall, did you guys really enjoy it? Is this like a really good game, or was it like a okay game?
You go ahead, Brian.
So I'm not gonna lie, the game didn't click for me at all.
Okay,
like
that's fine. That's fine.
I love our conversation. I'm like fooling myself, being like, shit, I think I had a great time.
But it wasn't your kind of type of game. Well, I guess that's what he gets for talking shit. I don't know.
I love it. It's so good.
Every time.
Every time.
Yeah.
No, I did not have a lot of fun like through B and C. And then when the story became so obtuse, I was like, okay, all right. But actually a lot of it had to do with the gameplay. I felt like okay. Have any of you guys played any Dynasty Warrior games or Hyrule Warriors?
Yeah.
So outside of the boss combat, I'm like, I would just much rather be playing a Dynasty Warriors game right now because that's what it feels like this should be when you're doing like just this huge robot swarms and playing with it. But part of it maybe I was a little underpowered. But I was like, this just became kind of tedious, and I didn't like the holding R1 down. It just didn't feel fun, except for boss fights. Those
you just weren't good at the game, man. You weren't switching between different weapons and different robots.
And that's no. So I ended up getting half the weapons in the game, and I switched through quite a few of them to see if maybe that would change it. And it didn't. Actually, that's one thing I was kind of surprised with. It didn't feel like it added that much difference compared to certain other games like that. A lot of those like Dynasty Warrior type games where you change weapons and you're like, oh, it's like a completely different play. It's completely, and maybe there's a subtlety there. It just didn't hit with me. But yeah, no, it didn't click with me towards the end, that much. So
that's fair. That's fair. So you rate it like a 6 out of 10, a 7 out of 10, or
yeah, probably, yeah. Okay. But it's the kind of game though that if someone else came to me and said this is my favorite game I ever played, I would be like, oh, I get that. Like it's not one of those where someone says that and you're like, is it the first video game you've ever played? Because that's where sometimes it just doesn't make sense, because there's a lot going on in this game emotionally, thematically. I think there's a lot of design. Oh, the other thing that was kind of disappointing towards the end, I think you mentioned it last time, Nick, though. I was surprised how small the game felt, like in terms of the world, which seems surprising.
So if it's small, it's much bigger if you do the side quests, to be honest with you. Because there's areas that I didn't know existed until I started doing the side quest.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, I missed a lot. But the way you could transfer from like the carnival to I'm trying to think. If you go from the carnival to either the desert or the sunken city, it's probably the longest distance. And I felt like you could traverse it, even ignoring fast travel, like fairly quickly. But I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Nick.
So this is gonna be a hot take on from this crew here.
Okay, no, that's fine.
This year, the games that I've played, this might be my favorite game I played this year, and it's a hot take because I also played Last of Us 2 this year.
That is a pretty big jump. Yeah, no.
I absolutely adored how obtuse it became. I liked trying to like delve into the story. I liked the gameplay. I loved all the different perspectives. I mean, there was very little that I didn't like about it. And then it kind of feels, going through all the chapters and like completing things, and it's like this weird time travel open world game. It still feels open world to me, even though it like really isn't. But you can kind of make it depending on where you want to time travel in the story. And it just it hit me at like a lot of different areas. So yeah, I liked it a lot.
Wow, I mean that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive.
I had a feeling when I was like, oh, he's really gonna. I think you're gonna really love this one. Yeah.
I'm in the middle between you guys with this, for sure.
Comparing this story to like something like Neon Genesis, there's a lot of different kind of like philosophical similarities between the two, and I think that's another reason why it hit me.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I mean, I did like the concept and discussion. Like I said before, it's always fun to kind of have those thoughts about is my mind, do I matter? Is my mind here? I'm killing myself constantly, turning into a robot somewhere else, and that's how I fast travel. Because that's basically all the fast travel was. You're just throwing your consciousness around and everything else. And it's just a lot of little conversations in there. Like you said, a lot of well, actually, you didn't say this, but I mean, philosophy-wise, a lot of the robots are named after philosophers and everything else. And like, that's what they're going for. And so I liked it a lot. I think the combat was going in the right direction. I think the chip system was amazing because it really, you can style it to play however you want it to play. You can play completely different a second playthrough by just changing the chips up. I think that they were going in the right direction. I think it was a horrible design choice to add the difficulty of having to go back to your body and get those chips. I feel like they could have done that like in a harder mode or something. I felt like it was just tedious and annoying.
I feel like that was a design choice to make the feeling that you are going back. You are a different, exactly. Right? Because a lot of this is about the time, who you are, and different concepts of it. But even though you are a shell, it's you, but not you.
Yeah, but I mean, you keep all your money. You keep, so it's like there are things it tries to add that element.
I'm with. It drove me crazy. It really irritated me when I lost all my auto heals. I'm like, all right, now nothing matters.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I felt. Like towards the end, I was like, I've messed things up so much that I might as well just restart the game if I really want to enjoy my progress and just not lose everything. And so I didn't care as much going through the end of it, at least if I was actually challenging myself in any way or not. So I feel like they didn't do a lot of stuff that was actually kind of interesting for kind of a hacking and slashing game where you just run around and you just beat the hell out of things and stuff. And the story is definitely one that I don't have any problem with. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I went through it. Of course, it's absolutely nuts and crazy. And I really, I don't think it's as, maybe it is Kingdom Hearts level. I don't know. I didn't like the fact that Kingdom Hearts was all over the place because I never really played through it. It discouraged me from playing through it because I was like, this is just a all over the place story that I don't want to get into it and feel like I have to do a whole bunch of stuff I don't enjoy in order to enjoy it. Does that make sense? Like play play Game Boy games, mobile, games and stuff like that to put it all together. They kind of did the same thing here too, but I feel like Automata, it can stand on its own perfectly fine. And so I don't know. It made me think that if I see advertisement for a game and it's showing off like a Android butt, there's a chance that it might be a good game. It might be something that I enjoy. Fan service does not completely turn me away from things because of this game.
So that was actually my least favorite part of the game, is the sexuality becomes a little much sometimes. Specifically, one of the achievements is to get 10 upskirt shots of 2B, which is, and after you beat one of the arenas, I don't know which one.
Can you just go buy that achievement and not have to feel like you're a complete pervert?
Yeah. And one of the arena awards, one of them is like, they're all, a lot of it's cosmetic. One of them, you get this like really cool like outfit for 2A or A2. The other one, for 2B, you get this revealing outfit, and she's basically just wearing like really tight lingerie.
So she goes from French maid to just lingerie maid.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know why they had to add that in there. Like that, it just
honestly, it feels like the next level of skins for this game. That doesn't.
Does it?
I thought you were gonna be surprised if she straight up had to wear a nun outfit. Like they'd go the full other way, like kind of trolled on the opposite end.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like it because I just know it stands out too much and it takes me out from what I'm experiencing of the actual story. I'm like, I don't know.
So I'm with you because like nothing about the story felt very sexualized. So for them being in sexualized clothing felt incongruent. It didn't feel like congruent with the themes of the story. Like if there was like other sexual elements are going on, or even like,
well, there was the robots trying to imitate humans by humping each other. Yeah,
that's fair. But even if like Adam and Eve were, I don't know if there was they were definitely. I was picking up a lot of different like sexual vibes from them. Like,
were you? Or is that something because we were talking about Ghost the other week, and we were having a conversation about how I noticed his butt and how that was something that was a little bit. So I mean, are we talking about abs here? Are we the Adam and Eve abs, and that kind of distracted you a little too much?
No, that's the story. No, no, but like it's just the way that they would have interacted felt like a little more sexual. I think because like I don't know. It's not that big of a deal.
All the characters were supposed to be thirsty models. That's all it is. It's just
which is fair, except Pascal.
Well, Pascal, she was the one unique robot out of all of the other robots. Or he, he was the one unique one. Which was kind of interesting. I'm not sure why they made that design choice other than you to pay more attention to Pascal and note that this is a character you should pay attention to. Because every single other one is just completely different. Right? Huh?
Yeah, Jean-Paul
looked a little different.
Did he?
But he was a bigger, like, there's like the small robots and then there's like the mid-tier. Mm-hmm. There's like the 5 styles. I thought he was like a big robot. That's my memory.
I think he was one of the bigger ones. So he just had a hat on or something, or maybe.
Yeah, now I'm imagining it with like Abe Lincoln's top hat. I don't even know if he had that, but it's like he would wear a top hat.
Yeah. There were like a lot, like each boss. There were a lot of bosses, and each boss was kind of a unique design, which I like too. Which like when we just played Ghost of Tsushima, and we talked about this last week. Yeah. There was not a lot of variety.
That was the
there
biggest downfall. Yeah.
And there was like, I remember as you play the game and you get further and further, there's new robots that pop up. Like there's one that pops up that looks just like, it's like trying to imitate like the boar and the moose. It's like an animal robot that's running around.
Did you guys see the Raptor T-Rex robot?
No.
I ran into it accidentally in the Forest Kingdom doing either 9s or it was either in playthrough C or B. I was just running around trying to level up, and all of a sudden there's just like this T-Rex robot. It wasn't huge, but it was like shooting fire and stuff, and I was just like, all right.
No, I definitely didn't. Well, because I know when there's one of the section of the game that takes you to the Forest Kingdom, and I just fast traveled there. But if I'm sure, and I noticed, I was like, oh, there's whole new robots that are now spawning here, and I just ran away from them as fast as I could.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, going back to how I'd take this game, I would put it probably not the best game I played this year, but one of the top games. I would say this is a game, if anyone asked me if they should play it, I would say yes, and I wouldn't say there is any reason. I wouldn't even try to debate there's a reason they shouldn't play it. I would just say you should probably experience this game.
No, it is fair, because it's like, I've talked to a couple other people who quit playing it midway through, and they just weren't either. It just didn't click, and they're like, well, should I keep playing it? And I'm like, if you played it through the first half of the game and didn't click, it's not going to click in the back half. Like, but if it clicks, it's going to click, and you're going to love it. So, but it's one of those ones you have to test out.
Yeah.
And it's worth it. I was hoping that they were going to make another one soon, but there's no evidence of another one being made at the moment, or like some other type of game by Yoko Taro that was in the next part of the universe of the next trick ending or whatever else.
Well, if they were for being like a PlayStation 5 equivalent, I mean, that could be 2022. So, I mean, he's making something, right? Probably. This came out in 2017, and games are going to be on a 3 to 6 year life cycle. So
I mean, hopefully, besides the mobile game, he's making something. Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's like, guys, I'm done. I'm going full mobile.
Oh Jesus.
Oh, that would be terrible.
Speaking of that, there's one other thing before we stop talking about NieR though that I thought was interesting is the end where you had to ask for help. I went so long without asking for help because I was like, I thought that was maybe a bad choice. And so I was like, I'm gonna just keep trying. And at some point, I was just like, I think I'm supposed to ask for help.
So I got to the point where I was doing the same, and it was towards the end where the square, and I was like, oh, I'm crushing
it's a Square Enix part.
Doing
That's
really good. And then when Square comes down, I was like, I can't do this solo. And getting
apparently you can do it, but you have to be an absolute god at this type of game to do it.
Well, you've seen that those like bullet hell, like those like real modern bullet hell games, and I've watched people playing it, and you're like, that does not seem even reasonably human. Like it's sort of like it should be an Olympic sport. Like that stuff's like, oh wow. Yeah. So
I mean, when I was done with it, I was like, I'm done, and I'm prepared to delete my game because I already knew that existed in some way. And I was like, you see it like every time, like I don't know if you ever had any of your extra guys die when you were doing it after you got help.
Oh yeah.
But it would say his game was deleted. His game was deleted. His game was already deleted. You don't have to keep telling me that, but I mean, they're trying to make it really feel like you're deleting.
The person who sacrificed for you is now also been sacrificed for you. Yeah. Like, because I felt that I was like, oh no, it's like Tommen's never coming back. Like, oh, that was a good feeling. That was a good emotional feeling.
Yeah, but during that whole song, if I remember right, they had the entire people, the crew, the development crew, all come and sing that song at the end, so you're kind of fighting all the people who created it and hearing them in the background singing to you while you're killing the credits.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's funny when you see all these little things that they put thought into that just you wouldn't know unless if you looked into it.
Oh, I have a question. Did any of you guys go fishing?
No.
Yeah, I did quite a bit of fishing.
No.
I didn't. And I realized maybe that was the gatekeeping that was holding me back from all my upgrades. Is like, oh, you should have fished. You could have.
Oh, you didn't. You don't really get anything fishing.
Really?
All the fish you catch, you could sell for money. You get a weapon from fishing in the sewers, and I think that's really it. Oh, well, you do get one of the pods from fishing. You get the laser pod from fishing.
Oh, is that how you get it then? Okay.
Oh, then I didn't have the laser pod because I.
Yeah. I didn't.
In fact, towards the end of the game, it would pop up. There was the one, right outside the resistance camp where there's sort of like that standing water. It's not really a lake. And at some point you run past it and it's like, would you like to fish? And you're like, really?
Yeah, no. Every time I saw it, I was like, huh? No. No. Keep going.
No, you're trying to trick me. There's nothing I'm going to fish here. Fool me once.
Yeah, I might do it later in my next playthrough, but I don't think I really cared to do it at all. I didn't care to do a lot of extra stuff in it near the end because I was just ready to beat it.
That's where I was at. I was just ready to push through towards the end.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a game I'm going to play again, so I'm fine with it. I feel like I missed enough of it to where if I played through it again and actually try to do stuff, then I would probably enjoy it, and I'd remember it a little bit better. And when it's relevant, I'll do it again. But past that, you were talking about the next PlayStation 5 when today Xbox released their price finally.
I saw that. They finally announced a release date and a price.
What is it?
$1 million.
It's cheap. It's like $299 for the small, I think, and $499 for the large. Is that right? Or is it?
Yeah. Oh, I just saw the $499.
Yeah, $499 for the regular one, and I think it's like $299 or $3 something for the smaller digital one.
Are there only two different Xboxes?
I think so.
I mean, I don't plan on getting. I just remember thinking of a point like there's like 3 or 4 different versions.
I think there's just 2. I don't. The smaller one looks like a speaker or like a stove that you take on like a camping trip or something, like one of those little mini stoves as a little hot heat pad. Yeah. But
that's funny.
And it comes out November 20th. Is that right?
I thought it was 10th.
Maybe it's 10th.
Oh wow. That's pretty soon.
So it's really close, and so we're all thinking maybe PlayStation's going to do something. It's PlayStation's anniversary today. You know, maybe it's
that's like crazy exciting news because that means that Spider-Man might come out this year.
Maybe.
Oh,
That might be my new top game of 2020. I don't know.
When you play Spider-Man. Okay. I'm really glad I got. I at least put it in your head to play NieR. It makes me happy that I offered something of information that you enjoyed later on.
I'm glad I closed it out of my backlog.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still going to play through it this next week. I'm going to platinum it and then be done, I think.
Okay. I will probably do a stream thing where I play it on stream or something later on. When I have a little bit more time to. Well, I have time now. I keep talking like that, but I have time.
You forgot that you don't have school anymore.
I forget every weekend. I start to have like this tense feeling about, okay, now I need to plan out what I'm doing for Sunday because I got to get all my work done by Sunday at midnight. But then I'm like, wait a minute, no, I don't. But then like this other fear comes in where I'm like, oh my God, there's all these things I want to do and I'm not progressing towards these other things I want to do. I need to read the security book. I need to read more about D&D. I need to write more. I need to do something with stream. I need to plan Mog Talk. I need to make sure that I'm playing a single player game. I need to make sure that I'm like, so I new little anxieties come up, but they're not mission critical ones, I think. So it works out. I just focus on whatever I'm interested in at that time.
So I was able to confirm, yeah, Xbox Series X will cost $499 and it will come out November 10th and people will be able to pre-order it up September 22nd. So, but I don't know. Are either of you guys going to get an Xbox?
No.
The thing is, it's exciting because it means PlayStation can respond now. That's the exciting part of it.
Well, there's like less motivation for people to get an Xbox because I think they announced that all the games are going to be on computer as well. Like all the like Halo and stuff, all their exclusive games you could just play on your computer. So like I don't know the need to get an Xbox if you just play games on your computer too.
Maybe. I think that sounds right. Because not a lot of people are excited for it. I remember just people saying they're not really caring about it too much. So
yeah,
which just kind of sucks because that just means that there's only one real console out there besides Nintendo, and they're just completely different consoles and concepts for video game systems. So
yeah,
weird, man. Weird.
Yeah. I was gonna say, speaking of like Hyrule games, did you see? Yeah. There was the Hyrule Warriors sequel, which is the Breath of the Well, it's the Breath of the Wild prequel in story, but it's Hyrule Warriors 2.
Yeah.
I'm really hyped about that. But
so I didn't play the other one. I didn't play the other one.
You didn't play the first Hyrule Warriors?
No.
It is a game when I first heard about it, it just seemed kind of like so it's just a super hack and slash, right? So you are your hero, your character, and you will show up and you might be fighting 30, 50, 100, 200 mobs just all at the same time. And they're sort of like, a lot of them are pushovers, right? So you just do like one big AoE, just crush. And so you have these huge maps that you run across, and you're defending territory points to claim territory, defending it against other areas. You're just constantly bouncing.
I played Dynasty Warriors a lot when I was.
And you understand it's the same. I know Dynasty Warriors. I just never ironically got into it. I just needed the right theme. But I loved Hyrule Warriors, and there were some of the characters. The animations were just so satisfying. Sheik specifically had one of her like ultimate stuff was just bliss every time you cast it. When I find people who are like, oh, I play Hyrule Warriors hundreds of hours, I'm like, yeah, I could see why it's.
I didn't know it was a popular game. I thought it was one of those things that was just like it popped up and it went away.
Same, and I found out there was a pretty big community behind it, and that and I know people were really pissed about this because they thought it was going to be Breath of the Wild 2, and then when it's this, it's like, like
Breath of the Wild is a trilogy now. It's going to be a trilogy. Isn't that kind of weird?
Really?
I mean, because you have Hyrule Warriors.
So that one, the studio that made Hyrule Warriors, the lore stuff doesn't kind of matter. Nintendo just kind of let them do whatever. It's not that big of a deal. It's just do focused gameplay, play the big characters, have fun. Also, playing Ganon in that is hella fun. Like he's a little bit slower, but just big power, big striker.
Right.
This one, Nintendo worked very directly with. So this might be considered story canon.
Yeah, because it's the war 100 years beforehand.
Yeah,
it's all based on that.
And so the irony is, even though you're fighting all these enemies, all the heroes are going to lose because that's what's going to happen. That's what happened in Breath of the Wild. So from a story, I'm kind of interested, but and aesthetically, it's identical to Breath of the Wild. If you go back, if you look at the gameplay trailer, it looks like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
like everything about it looks like Breath of the Wild, which I'm kind of fascinated. And the fact that Nintendo kept this so under wraps that they're just dumping it next month.
Well, they had another game company make it, really. They just worked closely with another game company.
But they didn't do any hype for it. They wouldn't say, like, because, like, I mean, it's different when they're like, Metroid 4. The whole world lost their mind. You're like, it's not coming out for, like, 4 years, right?
Right.
There was no pre-prep. Or even with Breath of the Wild 2, they told people, hey, guess what? We were going to do DLC for Breath of the Wild 2. Turns out we liked our DLC so much, we're going to make a whole other... We can make a full game out of it. But they let us know. I mean, Nintendo's so secretive.
This one's like, hey, in about a month, you'll have a new video game.
You have a whole other game that's going to be a prequel to one of the most loved games of, gaming. So it was pretty fast. And I was hyped. I mean, I'm one of the few. I think Hyrule Warriors is like my favorite game of the last decade. I thought I would legitimately hate.
Well, it's just one of those things. Like around that time, they were doing Gundam versions of it. They were doing all kinds of versions of Warrior games, and I was just like, I just lost interest.
Yeah. I mean, part of it's like the Zelda stuff really clicked. I mean, I love Zelda, so that clicked with me.
Well, that's cool. That's a prequel too. I'm actually interested in learning more about the history of like the 4 main characters who take control of the beast.
I'm pretty sure that's a big part of it.
Yeah, I want to learn more about them, so I'm hoping that they include it in there.
Yeah. So that's what happened. That's another interesting thing. One other interesting thing, of course, is that Dune trailer that came out this morning.
Oh yeah. Did you see the teaser trailer that came out yesterday?
I didn't. No.
I watched that because I thought that was a trailer dump, and it's like 3 seconds, and I'm gonna screw it up, but it's almost where it's just like, "Fear is the mind killer." That's like it, and you're like, and it was like trailer coming tomorrow. I'm like, oh, that was such a tease.
I mean, so you guys are both extremely into Dune. It's like one of your most hyped up movies that you plan to watch. And you might even venture into the movie theater just to watch it.
It would be yep.
So did that trailer do justice to make you want to see it even more, or?
I mean, for me, it did.
Okay.
You just get like chills the whole time when you're watching it. I think I think Brian's mentioned this before. Honestly, the whole thing seems too good to be true. You have like the perfect director for this, the perfect cast, everything just. And then when I'm watching the trailer and they have like a remake version of Eclipse by Pink Floyd, I'm like, this is crazy. There's no way this is real.
Well, I mean, that's a popular thing that they do with movies now. Anyways, like they find songs and then they just slow it down and then they make it like another person singing it. And yeah,
it is really common now. So where I'm at, I'm not in the super hype train. I thought it looked great. So here's what I'm at. I'm still really hopeful for it, but I'm not set up in a position where I'm like, this is going to change my life. You know what I mean? Or sometimes you want to see something.
You don't want to ever be in that position either, because it's just okay, it did, or you're disappointed. And that just,
yeah, exactly. But I'm not in that. But I will tell you, the first half of the trailer, I remember thinking how small it felt. It felt kind of like a lot of people, not like people in costume, but the way you felt really close. But they did that purposely. So when they opened it up, by when the trailer finishes, when you actually see the sandworm, you're like, oh shit. Like this, okay, they're covering it all. Because like the first half of the shots, I'm like, there's hardly any CG in any of this. Like there's hardly any elements. And granted, the movie's coming out in 3 months. There is already discussion with Warner Brothers. They might not release it. They might push it back.
Really?
Till next year. Yeah. Because I think they've already sunk $200+ million into it. So they're like, and then here's another weird thing. Because of the Warner Brothers merger with AT&T is like enormously in debt. with some other acquisition. So they're starting to trim a lot of fat. So this may be one of those, we need to save this for another 6 months to a year to make sure we don't lose $100 million off of. Because conceivably, this is probably going to go to HBO Max in 6 months to a year or something, you know, for a streaming. So they might, sadly. Because, I mean, we're in September. Theaters are running at like quarter capacity around the country. And to make your money, you have to be running at full capacity. Yeah. So, yeah, it was sad, but yeah.
I mean, it's sad that that's the case. I mean, I want to let you know, when I saw it, I looked at it, I was like, oh, cool sci-fi movie. That's what it looks like to me, because I don't know anything about Dune.
Oh, well, if you don't know anything, yeah, I think that's all it is that looks like neat sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm excited for it to come out, and I'm excited because you guys are excited, so it makes me a little bit more excited that it might be something that's worthwhile of seeing.
There was already a meme pull up this morning where it's like, when she's like, put your hand in the box, what's in the box? And it's like 2020, and then he's like, no.
Yeah,
I already saw that this morning. You're like, yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I plan to see it in some fashion or another. I'm still debating if I want to just go read books before the movie comes out, but I'm assuming you guys would tell me that I should read the books whenever.
So my general rule with everything is don't ever read the source material of the movie you're about to watch, because unless it's been such a time gap that you will tend to do automatic translation and not adaptation. So a movie, theoretically, if it has to rely on its source material to work, it doesn't work, right? It has to be able to stand by itself. So which is like, my family has this problem. They always want to read the book before they watch the movie, and they do that all the time, and they're disappointed every time.
Funny? One of my, throughout college courses and stuff, you always take one course or a couple of courses that are just like off the wall things. One of my courses was film book to film adaptations and differences.
Sounds like an awesome class.
Yeah, and I went through a lot of different ones with that, and so I understand completely what you're saying. Yeah. It's better to watch the movie first and then see the book or read the book afterwards, because you get a lot more out of the book.
And I would say, honestly, watch the movie, see what you like about the movie, then read the book. Okay. Like, that's my usual recommendation.
I did that with Hobbit. The Hobbit that turned into 3 movies.
Oh, yeah.
That was a bad adaptation. That was a very bad adaptation. But I think, right, actually, that's why I would like to take a class like that. I mean, one, I would look to teach a class like that. That becomes really interesting problems about, okay, right, the mediums are very different, novels to movies. What do you have to chop up? What do you have to change? What do you have to adapt? What do you have to adjust? How does it work on their own? What are they both good at? Like, those are both really interesting problems you're solving, like, creatively all across the board. Which is why, like, back in the day, we would go to all the Harry Potter, go to the Harry Potter movies, their midnight releases. And I was, huge group of friends who were all obsessed with Harry Potter. And I liked Harry Potter. And of course, everyone read the books before. They would read them again before they watched the movie. And we would come out of the movie and I would just be like, it's actually a really good movie. I can't wait to watch everyone just lose their shit. And we'd walk out and just hate it. And they had all these very specific reasons. And I'm like, just the troll in me just loved it, knowing they were going to hate it because it was almost an impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible.
And the way you would critique it was like an impossible. It was like an impossible task. There was just no way to pull it off. You're like you read a book. There's a very specific character that has maybe specific moments that really resonated with you, and you might love those moments. And so you think they're bigger to the whole story. So those might get cut out for the movie, and you're like, fucking garbage. This is bullshit. This is what tied everything together. And you're like, maybe it didn't. Maybe you had to sacrifice this, or you added this character. Now you have to add in these scenes and do this. You're like, now you're looking at 2 movies. We can't do that here. We can only make one. So
or a TV series works out pretty well. You can do that.
Oh yeah, and luckily now they're starting to do miniseries are more common. Historically you're like, let's run multiple seasons, keep it running, and then now it's like, speaking of which, I just watched Chernobyl over the weekend.
Wonderful. That's.
Did you see it, Nick?
No, I it's one of those things I'm keeping in my pocket because I know everybody who's watched it says it's amazing.
I've had it sitting on my system for about since it came out, and I've known how great it was, and I have started it 5 times. And there's an opening monologue scene, and it's Russian, so the palette is much. It's muted and it's kind of sad and it's depressing. And I get 3 minutes in, I'm like, I just can't right now. I just can't right now. And I felt the same way on Friday. And then it's like, just give it 20. And you're like, oh, this is really good. Yeah. Now, you will. Yeah, it's one of the like 2020 masterpieces of like.
Was it in 2020 or 2019 when that came?
See, that's what's funny. In my mind, it was 2020, but it's been sitting here.
Yeah.
I feel like I was now born in 2020. All of existence is melded.
I think it was at the beginning of 2020. I think it was. I think it was actually this year.
No, you're right. It was 2019.
Was it? Mm-hmm. Late 2019?
It was last summer.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Wow. I was way off.
I watched it as it came out. And I loved it.
Yeah, that was incredible.
So I mean, it's something you should watch. Huh?
I watched something this week that I had been meaning to watch for a while, and I did because it came on Netflix.
Yeah. Sometimes ease of access just increases viewership.
It's just because like I went to Netflix to watch like The Office or something. I was like, oh, okay, I see this.
Yeah.
I watched Cobra Kai, both seasons.
I'm watching Cobra Kai right now.
Okay, I won't ruin anything. I am like a huge fan of the first 3 Karate Kid movies.
You're a kid of the 80s. It's hard not to be.
Yeah, I know. They're just like crazy nostalgic for me. And Brian's mentioned a couple times, he's like, you should watch Cobra Kai.
I was like one of 2 people who watched it on YouTube Red. Like, there was no one. I forget that that's like a thing, which I think is now not a thing, but yeah.
I loved the first season. I thought it was so much fun for like so many different reasons. I thought the first episode, I just thought the choreography was genius because I'm like, they like maintained the kind of clunkiness and like weird pausing nature of this like karate in the 80s that kind of sucked, and it didn't like implement any flashiness of like the 90s or 2000s. And they just like kept it, and they upgraded like the camera angles and stuff like that, so it looked a little flashier. But I just thought that was really smart of them to just it's modern day, but we're keeping that kind of crappy karate still present, and it works. And I like how Johnny's like, he's from the 80s still. He time traveled for some reason and has no idea about technology or anything.
He's that guy who peaked in high school and just never let it go.
Yeah.
Although I like the way they took because there's that fan theory out where Daniel's actually the bad guy. And when you reframe it, you're like, oh, he's actually the bad guy of the story. And they really ran with that, which I think is kind of really the smart choice to do.
And I mean, it gives you that 2 perspective thing that you were talking about earlier, too, like multiple perspectives.
Yeah, the first season had, because I remember telling you that. I'm like, all right, you're not going to believe me, but Cobra Kai is actually incredibly fun and has no right to be as fun as it is. Like, none of this should work, and it really does.
The second season, though, I don't know about that thing. Second season, the only thing I'll say is, just so I don't ruin it for Mark, is I'm pretty sure the writers just didn't care about character continuity. They just let them do whatever was specific for the episode and just roll with it. Okay. And it's a, I don't know. It's a struggle to get through some of it. It's still fun, but it's a struggle to get through some of it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm enjoying it a lot. I haven't made it through the first season yet. I've made it through just like 5-6 episodes, I think. It's exactly what it needed to be. Especially if you ever watched Karate Kid and it was part of any nostalgia you ever had, this is like the perfect series to watch. It just is. So.
Yeah, totally agree.
Brian, did you watch both seasons?
No. It's weird. When the second season came out, I was like, I don't know if I want to watch it. I really liked the first season, but it's almost in that, like, I kind of feel like, oh, what if it ruins the kind of feelings I had for the first season? Which is weird how much I liked the first season. I'm not excited to watch the second. And then all the reviews have kind of been where you were at. Like all the people I know who've watched it. And then I was like, no, I've got other things I want to watch. I also am just kind of don't want to watch TV. Like, it's just the time commitment. You know, it's like, it's why I love watching movies. It's usually on a couple hours at a time, and then playing games. It's like, oh, I want to watch this new TV show, and you're like, that's 30 hours. I don't want to slot that in. You know.
I mean, that's a video game. To be honest with you,
I feel about a lot of TV until someone's like, if I have like 2 or 3 different people come to me and be like, this is must watch, who I know different people who have different tastes, I'm like, okay, then I will watch it. It doesn't matter how much I think I would hate it. If I have 2 good friends who I like their taste, just give me like unequivocal recommendations.
There we go. 2 people right here. All we need is Nick and I, and then we can make you watch anything.
Just out.
We have to be honest, though, right?
I mean, we have to have some level of honesty or something, right? You gotta I don't know.
I would
not lose the trust. But yeah.
Yeah, because you burn it, then it's gone. You're like, you need to watch this. Yeah, but that one time you told me to watch Ogre Massacre Orgy, that was not the thing that you told me it was. So now I can't trust you at all.
Right. I don't. That's what I'm. But at the moment, that's what I'm watching in the background. I mean, I watched NieR. NieR is what I watched. I mean, in the background, as in like.
That's bullshit. You're like, I put on the background. I do chores.
I'm watching it, but like I'm not afraid to go over and do something else real quick and go back to it, right? It's not like something that I'm afraid if I don't pause it, I'm going to miss critical parts of the story. I don't know.
No, it still sounds like you're pretty rude to a story.
Sorry.
So what game are you guys playing next? We didn't talk about that.
So it depends on if you guys play games I've already played or not. Or if I play games you guys have already played or not.
What were you thinking of playing
next? Nick? You said Nick, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I'll probably spend at least a few days, maybe a little bit longer, platinuming NieR, and then I'm not really sure what to play next. I was hoping you guys would be able to give some insight into that. I mean, I kind of still want to play Last Guardian. And that's a shorter game, and it might be kind of like a, because NieR is a little long, so it might be like a breath of fresh air in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Besides that, I do want to play Firewatch. I just bought that, but I haven't had a chance to play it yet.
Firewatch is short too. I think it's only like 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah,
I'm looking through Brian's list right now so I can see, because I'm sure Brian's updated his list.
Oh, Brian mentioned the essentials that were on sale, and the only one that I was interested in buying was the Heavy Rain, Detroit, and that trilogy.
NieR?
Yeah.
No,
it's just called Heavy Rain. That's just called.
No, but there's the company made 3 games that are pretty similar.
Did they?
Heavy Rain was one of them. Yeah. I forget what it's called. But that trilogy was on the essentials.
I think I remember trying to play Heavy Rain on PlayStation 3 a long time ago. And they even gave me a little thing that I could fold into a bird.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it came with that with the game. But I never I think I played through just the beginning part and stopped. I don't know, something was not able to hold my attention with it.
I like the game a lot, but I sucked at it. I probably wouldn't suck now, but at the time, like, I wasn't familiar with. I didn't have the muscle memory for like square, circle, X, and triangle. So like that's how it tells you to do things. Mm-hmm. So like I would get in a fight with somebody, and it would be like press square, and I would press triangle, and then I would like get hit. And I sucked at the game for a while, and it was like a really simple game, so you shouldn't suck at those things.
Mm-hmm. It didn't seem. Yeah, it seemed like a very story-driven game, but I feel like the controls. I don't think I was expecting it to be like that. Like you said, it was a little bit weird. So yeah, and that was a long time ago.
I haven't played either of them, but my understanding is they're essentially story-driven games with elements of gameplay.
So in your queue, you have 4 things.
Yeah.
You have Last Guardian, Firewatch, The Beginner's Guide, and Myst series.
So So I kind of want to revisit the Myst series just because I played Corn and I kind of got that itch that I wanted to replay it, but I don't know if I want to. The Beginner's Guide is made by the people who did Stanley Parable, I think. Why doesn't that sound? I think that's right. And it's a quick game, so I've owned it for a while and I wanted to play it.
Okay. I can see it. I don't know if I want like a little goofy game. I don't know. No, I feel like I need a life-changing game. We've had so many life-changing games. I feel like we need another one.
Just keep
rolling.
So I'm looking at my queue, and the only ones that are I think I might want to do, because like after playing NieR, I don't know if I want to. I was thinking either something like a JRPG, just getting away from kind of an action game.
Okay.
The one makes me nervous because I'm like, shit, that I'm gonna lose 2 or 3 weeks from it is Baldur's Gate 2. I want to play through that again, but like there's Disco Elysium, which has been sitting there, and that's like mostly narrative and story. So those are probably the two that are peeking out at me. And then the other one actually,
the Switch, that one that you said got released last week or something. That was close to Undertale.
Oh yeah. The one that's that old like PS1 game that remake the Moon. Fuck, I'm gonna screw it up already. Yeah, I should have put that on here, but that one's definitely not. God, a part of me just wants to beat everything that I'm missing on my PlayStation queue, because if PlayStation 5 is coming out,
knock it out.
like,
Yeah,
knock it all out in 2 months.
If you play 7 Remake, then I can play whatever. It doesn't matter because I already did 7 Remake.
Yeah.
You play 15, same thing. I already beat it. I'm good.
Yep.
All the other ones on here, I haven't. I've played through Uncharted 4 a little bit, but I haven't actually gone through it all the way, I don't think.
Well, I was debating throwing in Uncharted 3 because it's been a while since I beat 2, and that
a while is in like a few weeks ago, right? Didn't you just beat that?
I feel like that was 5 years ago now.
It was
like
fairly recent.
It might have been a month ago. A month or 2 months. Yeah. I don't know. It's quarantine time. Nothing makes sense. But it's short. I mean, the Uncharted games aren't very long.
So I guess, Nick, for you, are you looking for something a little bit more lighthearted now? Or you still want to dive into a giant wormhole of insanity?
I don't really know. I mean, I think above everything else, I would like playing games with you guys. So if
if we play Wafu Quest or 2020 or something like that, you'd be down to play?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I want some waifu.
Okay.
What was it? A Doki Doki Literature Club?
Doki Doki Literature Club.
That's how I got stuck into that, and that ended up being a surprisingly fun game.
Oh, man.
I don't think is a bad one, and we had mentioned before playing that together because you get like different stories depending on your choices, and it might be fun to talk about.
Disco
Elysium?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do Disco Elysium.
I understand it's entirely possible that we will all play a different game, even though we're playing the same game.
I don't know anything about that game, but I completely trust you.
I'm so excited. You might be so screwed.
I'm going to go invalid SSL certificate on steampowered.com.
Oh, nice.
Alrighty, cool. Let me see if I can refresh this or something.
How much is it?
That's what I was going to look up right now, is just to see how expensive it was.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out too. I'm going to guess like $30, $30 to $40.
Disco Elysium. How much?
How long? 40
$40.
Bucks.
$40. Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to get soundtrack, $20.
That's pretty good.
Am I on a VPN or something? Why is it being all goofy?
But Hyrule Warriors is coming out end of November, so.
Okay. End of November, we can play that together if you like.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun.
Oh, the other games that
I loved Well, and I came late. So when Hyrule Warriors 1 came out, they kept having, I think it was DLC, but I didn't play it till years later, and there was multiple iterations. They just kept adding to the game. So when I played, I was like, damn, there's a lot of stuff to do in this game, which was great, and I had a lot of fun like playing through it all. But I'm curious if they're going to do the same thing with this, where they'll release the game and then just keep releasing updates for it.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. With that, it just doesn't seem appealing to me at all. But I mean, I trust you, Brian. The Warriors series just seems like it's so like.
Here's it. Well, I was gonna say you can't.
You
could. I was like, just come over to my house, play Hyrule Warriors, see if you like it or not.
Yeah.
Because you can buy like the definitive edition that comes with everything on it for Switch. So, because I played it on Wii U. So,
I keep forgetting about the Wii U.
I know.
That's where I played Breath of the Wild.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even know it was a system for the longest time. I just thought it was like, the DS Lite or something. It was like the next version of the Wii. They just added a second one. I don't know.
Well, and that's what's so unfortunate about it was that all those main games, like when they sold the system, they announced a Zelda game was coming out for it, and that it did when the Switch was already out. It's like, oh my god, like it just took so much that much longer in development.
All right, so Disco Elysium. I can say that'll be the next game that we try, and I'll be down with that. There's a couple things on there I need to play that after that I might play as well, like Spider-Man. I need to eventually play that.
Yeah.
That way I could be up and ready to play the next one that's coming out for PlayStation 5. Maybe it'll have a release date and price information for
tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow.
I hope they put it out tomorrow. You're just like, oh, we've been waiting. Like they have all their flyers that everything's prepped. We're just waiting to announce the price tag, and you're like, all right, go with option B, guys, go with B.
Do you remember what PlayStation did to what was it, Sega Saturn? Is that what that's the one it did it to? Like the Sega came up or something, and they're like, oh, this is such a great system that we kicked Brian off the call. Welcome back. Yeah, that it was just such like a great system, and they did this presentation or something, and they're like, we're selling it for $399, and then PlayStation just came up on stage, and they're like, we're doing PlayStation for $299. That's all they said, and just like left. And it's just completely crushed.
I don't know if that's true, but I don't even care if it's not, because that's impressive.
I'm pretty sure that happened, and it was the start of the downfall.
That would have been for PS2, right?
No, that's PlayStation. PlayStation 2, PlayStation 2 had a higher price than Dreamcast, I think, and they sold a lot better, if I remember right.
Oh no, you're right, because Saturn came out in '95, so PlayStation would have been
96, 97, yeah, around that time. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Speaking of game things, I read a book on the history of Majora's Mask the other day. Yeah. No, so there's a publisher called Boss Fight Books. It's kind of this like small indie publisher that really focuses on video games. But what they'll do is they take like one author writes one book on one video game, and they range in style. It's not all just this is a historical telling of this game. Some of them I don't think are very good. They're like, there's one, I won't call out the game because I feel bad even saying it out loud, but they don't really talk about the game. It just talks about like the whole book is essentially this guy's relationship to the game and his brother, but it's more about him and his family and his brother, but the game just happens to be there. And I'm like, that's not what I wanted to read about. And I'm not compelled about the other stuff. No, so Majora's Mask, they were, so it's framed as, right. It's depending on how you frame it. Majora's Mask is the outlier of the entire Zelda series, and it was the first Zelda game that wasn't made by Miyamoto, where he like was standing over it, like dictating what was going to happen, and sort of how that came about. And then it delves into all the fan theories that exist for Zelda, for Majora's Mask, which are a lot. How fans develop those theories, how they can contextually pull them up, how the game was designed, all the interviews with the designer. It's just really good. I sat down and read half of it in one sitting, and I was like, oh, this is actually really thoughtful.
It only took you probably like an hour, though.
No, so these books are a little bit shorter,
Okay.
more like middle like novella length. I think it's only like 160 pages, so they're small. But like the one I have here, which I've read part of, is like this whole one's on Resident Evil.
Oh, okay.
You know, so that one's also pretty good. These are so I back them on Kickstarter. They do like seasons when they do the publishing, and I always back them. And so now these ones are the ones that came out. We're just coming in. But like the one I got for Nick's nephew, he probably won't read this, but maybe he will see this. I won't let him know. But they put out a game that I think it's a one he might like. He might just put on the shelf and let it die. But
yeah. I mean, I have my Zelda book over there.
Yeah. Well, and the other really random book I pre-ordered. I don't know if you can see it.
I can't.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Did it invert it? Oh yeah. Did
no, it does the green screen.
Did the green screen?
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. So it's the games that weren't. So another publisher that I really like is Bitmap Books, and they're a UK publisher with games. They tend to do like they have some books that are just simple like visual compendiums, where it's like here's all the cool shots of Super Nintendo. So you get this like really fat book with really high glossy print quality of like just shots of video games. This one is this kind of like a tabletop book, but it covers video games that were made but never released, and why. And so it covers games from like 1970. So it does it in like decades, like 75 to 85, 85 to 95. And it's like, we're going to get 5 games from each decade up to the modern era, and all the different reasons why and some of them are like, there's advertisements. So like, here are the games that were put, like, here's the advertisements they had for these games in like like Electronic Gaming Monthly. And here's like early write-ups people had of games, and then games were never released. So you have like, there's just a lot of weird, it's like the weird esoteric part of gaming culture. And this book I just got it last week. You know, I pre-ordered it, I don't know, 6 months ago. I'm like, oh, Boss Fight Books, that looks like a good concept. You guys are an incredible publisher, so I sort of trust. So that's also pretty cool.
It must have been like really fun doing research for writing that book.
Yeah. And you can see like, and you can go to their website where they're like, do you want to see all the photos we couldn't fit in the book, but we love so much? And you can go to their website and then look at everything. Yeah, it's great. Like there's one, actually, for the kind of people who listen to this, they have one that's essentially the history of role-playing games. And it's kind of like, almost like the way you do like a monster manual. So it starts from the beginning, and it has like the earliest like PC role-playing games, and then goes to modern era. It's like 550 pages, and it's just like one page. So it's like, they'll talk about the game, they wrote about the game, and there's like 3 different pictures they pull from the game. And so you go from like, you know, early 80s till now, from PC and consoles, all of it. And it's like such a trip. Jeez. You're like, so if you love RPGs and love the history of it all, like the book is just fantastic. And I think it's just called like JRPG.
Yeah, that stuff's a lot of fun to do, to kind of go through those kind of flips and everyone.
Yeah, I would love to write a stupid book like that. Like, I don't even care if it get published. It's just fun.
Just do it.
It's like we were talking about like that horror stuff. The more I was diving into that, and you're like, oh, this is actually pretty interesting. You know, but
I'm waiting on you to write it. Just do it.
I know.
On that note,
now is the time.
Doing that Mog Talk this weekend, I told you guys I was doing this, where I was going back and I'm just getting a clip from every single episode.
Oh yeah.
That worked out pretty well. It was pretty cool to see. It's just 3 minutes of going through a half a second of every single, like, 200 episodes, right? And so you're just kind of like flipping through all these different things. And you see my face change a little bit. You can see like my headset change, things around me change, people coming on the show, they're changing, the layout of the show changing, and just different things happening. And I thought it was actually pretty amazing to do that. And at the end, you know, I had the whole intro thing that I planned for the 200th episode. And people liked it. And so I was happy. I got a couple of PogChamps off of it. And I was like, I put hours and hours working.
Oh, for sure.
It was one of the most difficult things to get together, because it was just tedious. It was real tedious. because I didn't want to also get a shot of every episode of just like people just like this. You know, I had to look. I was like, there has to be some animation in the episodes, and it worked out really nicely. And that was a crazy event too. I didn't have any internet issues. I didn't have any major problems came up. Everybody showed up on time. I was able to switch all the scenes to every single guest every hour.
That's fucking awesome. You said it was 8 hours, right?
Yeah, it was 7 to 8 hours. It was 7.5. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was I don't know. It was it feels good. Like after I was done with it, I was like, man, this feels really, really good.
That's awesome. So you're back on schedule now. You're gonna
I'm gonna do another one this weekend. That will be discussing the healing in Final Fantasy 14. So back just to the normal weekly shows. I'm looking forward to it because I already have all the research I need to do about the discussion and everything else, and it's going to be a lot easier than a 200th episode, so I'm not too worried about it. Yeah.
But I mean, everything you told me about it, it felt pretty epic in terms of like everything you had to put together to get it out there.
Yeah. And I mean, I completely changed the layout, which you guys saw, and apparently that was good too. So like all these different, like I did all these different things, and I was like, I hope this doesn't suck. In the end, it's like,
right, that's like the ultimate fear.
Cool, but is it? Is it great? I don't know. I don't know. I just hope that that isn't like the standard for what the show needs to be. Is what I did for the 200 episodes. Every episode is just like a disappointment because it's being compared to this big major thing I did, but hopefully not.
No, you had like an epic episode. You're allowed to do that on your anniversary episode.
Now, if every other episode's epic, you might put yourself into a screwed position.
Yeah,
but it's okay to have
it's
these
a
like
once
super
a year
spikes.
thing, right? Yeah. So it's not.
And then it's special for everyone who watches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't think I'll go and get those. I'm just going to pull those clips again and put them in the next one and just do 50 episodes. I'll just go through 50 of them and pull clips. So I don't have to go as crazy next time. But
could you see your face aging?
Yeah.
Becoming decrepit or anything?
Yeah.
Did you watch yourself?
All the way until like all the wrinkles and all the really, really old age stuff starts to show. And then,
You watch yourself get fat.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, I don't know. I did. I don't know if I showed you guys that. Maybe because I did finish it. I could probably look it up and get you an actual one of the finished copy that I did with it. With that intro, it's like 5-6 minutes long, but
we have it on YouTube, right?
Yeah,
the whole episode.
I have all of it. I don't have the intro on YouTube because there's a copyright block on the song because it's too similar to Final Fantasy VII's music apparently. And it's a remake someone made. Or it's a cover. Sorry, it's a cover someone made.
You should get Cheryl to do a cover with their violin.
I should.
And, that would be yours.
Yeah. Or I'll get Nick to do it. Nick can.
Nah, he's too busy. We've been trying to get him to do other beginning music now for like 6 weeks.
Oh, it's
remember episode 2? You were gonna have new music, and every episode, and you're still like,
You know what? I got like too caught up in NieR and Cobra Kai this week, and I'm still painting this new baby room, and that's taking forever. And I got to finish the album that I'm working on, and I'm really trying to finish that.
I'm just hearing all of these things that are more important than us.
I'm just hearing excuses, and I'm not hearing
I also,
new theme results.
When was the last time you used a pumice stone on your feet? I mean, like, I probably need to do that too.
A pumice stone?
Yeah, like to really scrub them, to really get them nice and soft.
I got a recent.
I like that you got excited about this, Mark. You're late. Your face
because
just
it's relevant
lit up.
to something.
Like you've been waiting for 6 months for one of us to bring up pumice stone.
I don't even know what that is, but the thing is, so we got these new sheets at some point that like they were apparently good enough quality for me to notice that my feet are pretty rugged, something, whatever, rough. To where it gets caught on there. You can feel it getting caught on the sheet when you move your foot.
Oh, you're one of those. Gross.
Yeah. And so I'm like, man, I need like a pedicure or something. And so we got this thing that like grind, the little, you press on it, it has a little grinding thing on it, and you can grind your foot. And so I've been working on that and
that's pretty good.
My foot.
So I will notice when the bottom of my feet get really rough, it's usually directly correlated to how dehydrated I am. Like when I'm super hydrated, my feet are always like super. And then sometimes it's just like, what's happening? You're like, oh, that's right. I've been pretty dehydrated for a couple of days.
I mean, I drink water between, like, I drink coffee, cup of water, tea, cup of water. Like, I try to keep it 50% water.
So you're supposed to drink whatever your body weight is. I know it's changed since you did that, all the episode stuff. I don't want you to say it out loud, but
yeah.
You're supposed to drink whatever your body weight is, half of that in ounces, which is kind of a lot more than you'd think.
That's impossible.
That's
no,
more
it's
than
not. So I have to just drink 3 of these a day to cover my weight, and I guarantee I'm bigger than both of you. I weigh more by a lot, and it covers it. So, but usually, like literally, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, I drink an entire one of these. Like it's the first thing I do when I wake up. So
I drink like a full cup of water in the morning. Full cup before I go to bed.
I think you're finally catching up. But what are you at now, Nick? Like you finally
I'm between like 165 and 170 now. I'm becoming fat.
I'm like 187 to 192.
Okay.
I'm around 170.
I'm on the lower end consistently now, but yeah.
I'm about 170 right now, just right under it. So I mean, I got my belly.
Well, Brian, you've been working out quite a bit though too, so that's probably a lot of muscle weight.
No, it's the weight. The weight shifted in quarantine.
Friends with Backlog. We're talking about our sheets
and grinding feed, and we don't need to talk about.
Oh, so I found out. I mean, I was talking about the Heavy Rain 3 games. It's
Nick saved us.
Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and Detroit Becoming Human.
Oh, is Detroit Becoming Human actually part of that? That's
they're
one
not
that's
the same
really
universe.
famous.
They're just the same, developer.
Company.
Yeah. So, but they have it's a special they have for the Essentials. So I'll probably buy that.
How much is it?
I have it. I don't know. I think it's like probably like $20 or something like that
for all 3.
So I've wanted to play Detroit Being Human because honestly, I feel like it's the most polarizing game I know of on the PlayStation. Where I've come across people talking about, they're like essential PlayStation games are meaningful. That game was one of the most meaningful, amazing games they played for PS4, and I also know that people think it is complete trash. So it's like this huge spectrum.
Yeah.
Actually, do a lot of people think NieR is trash?
There's a good handful of people who just didn't give it the time of day. Like they tried they went through a little bit of it, and most of the negative reviews are not people who played through the entire game because they weren't going to play through the entire game if they didn't like it, right? And so
same with Last of Us 2. There is a whole host of people like this is the worst video game ever made.
Yeah.
Who never touched it.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. That game, that Last of Us 2's story is like so tight that I can't. It seems weird to just not like it.
I'm gonna let you guys know what type of people there are in the world who play video games. Okay,
go on. So I'm listening.
There is a character in Final Fantasy 14 that a lot of people like, they follow, and everything else. And so to me, I posted a statement. I was like, well, who's going to die next? Someone in the story is going to die at some point, right? And someone responded with that. And then immediately they were angry at me for asking the question that led to someone responding that person was going to die. They blocked me on Twitter, and they had this whole little conversation. Of course this guy said this. Of course this is going on. I'm like, it's a fucking video game.
It's like you had the Undertale mob come at you harsh. You're
so
like, what just happened?
So imagine in The Last of Us 2, the stuff that happens in it, what those type of people felt when those things happened.
I know.
So
it's I don't know if the mob is as bad as the Undertale mob, but like people couldn't even stream playing it the genocide way because the Undertale mob would just come in and crush you for even attempting the genocide way. And you're like, the game's going to make you feel like a monster, but it's supposed to. But you aren't a monster for playing the way the game is.
And the people who made it aren't monsters. This is just the story, right? And so,
I just want someone to like go into someone doing a Last of Us 2 stream, and every time you like, sometimes you're like Ellie, so she's just like, be quiet, and just knife someone in the throat, and then you just come in, like, no one's doing that.
I mean, and Abby's voice actress got death threats and stuff. So I mean, like, there's so many
so
or Abby's voice actress, and so it's so people are out there are a little bit they need to calm down. I don't know how else to really put that. I guess we're all going a little bit insane in quarantine, but it's,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's quarantine. I think it's just. I mean,
you're right.
When we were playing World of Warcraft, or when I first started playing MMOs, you kind of see like the darker side of people when they have no repercussions over what they say, like immediately in front of them. They can just say whatever.
I've still maintained. I think playing with people in an MMO over a long period of time, or even a short period, you will see the truest version of what that person is like their true qualities, and we talk about that all the time.
I mean, that's true for anything you do with people for a lot of time, right?
No, but that's not true, because like you can have certain friends that you hang out with, but you'll never know if they're inherently fucking greedy. Like, but when you play an MMO with someone, you find out fucking fast.
All you got to do is go to the grocery store with them. Do they return their shopping cart? That's it. Go to the grocery store with your friends and see if they return their shopping cart. That's all you got to do.
That's a little too... that's a litmus test. That's... No, absolutely not.
That's true.
I always return it because I always think of the people who have to get it, and I will go so far out of my way, and it irritates me that I can't just be like brave enough to be like, no, I'm not going to the other side to drop it.
Well, you think about other people, right? Then go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm saying, but going back to the game, like when you're playing like shared loot, how people are handling loot and the way they freak out. Like, think of all of our real life friends that we met in WoW. They're all the people you knew who they were. You're like, oh yeah, he's not a selfish asshole. He's a pretty nice guy. You know how he reacts under extreme, because a lot of those MMOs, especially big raids, you put people under extreme circumstances, and if they fuck up, they could fuck up the whole raid, and you see how people respond to that, and you kind of like, you get the essential nature of what a person is like for the most part, versus when you meet him.
I do.
And you're like,
I will agree. It is personal. It is definitely personal.
And you're like, oh, you are exactly. The details are all unique, but
I mean, when I met you guys, it felt natural, and like I knew exactly what you guys were. Yeah.
But people we raided with who were greedy as hell, you're like, oh, that's probably it. They're a bad person in real life. And you're like,
yeah,
you're not going to be like, oh yeah, it turns out this guy, does all this charitable help, does all these donations, all this stuff, and you're like, but he's such an asshole loot whore.
Right.
And you're like, so when we first started playing WoW way back in the day, it was only people we knew in real life were in a guild, and the people who, I'm not going to call them out by name, they were loot or problems, but you're like, yeah, there are friends who were the greedy assholes. Like, they're the ones where like the bill comes due and they're like, my bill is $3 and you said I owe $3.20. That is bullshit. And you're like, it's 20 cents, man. Who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Or like the friends who don't care, who also don't care in WoW, are like, yeah, whatever. We're all just friends here. It's, we're not here to steal from each other.
Right.
Well, and a friend of ours who was married. I don't think it's like a coincidence that they got a divorce, and he was also kind of rage quit loot whore crazy guy. Like, you gotta see what he was like on there.
Yeah.
No, I remember all that. He's the one who invited me to the guild.
I didn't know that, actually.
I bring it up every time. I think I bring it up a lot. Yeah, he's the one who...
Oh, Nick, I thought we were talking about someone else. So we have another friend from childhood that fits the same bill we played early WoW with.
Oh.
But I forget the other loot. We'll talk about it offline.
We'll talk about it offline.
Just in case. But yeah, we'll
do a sidebar offline in a separate conference room.
Well, let me send
all the subs can come and listen to us. So no.
Let me DM you. Oh, to go back to an early thing about badness in the world, I think there's goodness that comes out of Twitter, but for the most part, I'm still not certain social media is like kind of an evil.
Social media is fucked.
Now, there is incredible things that have come from social media. I've connected with people that I would have never seen again, and they're like, "Oh, thank God." I've found people in the different like intellectual world or the other species. You're like, "Oh, these are awesome," or people who know how to link like really good articles that were really meaningful to me that changed elements of my thinking that I would have never had without social media. And then there's just the avalanche of shit.
So I will say social media is amazing for those who know how to filter the shit and know how to navigate through it properly. Most people don't.
Do you remember when back when the biggest complaint social media started, people complain, I don't want to know what food you eat. And you're like, oh my God, I would dream if that's what all people posted on or just food they ate. You're like, oh, you know what? We know when people post a food picture, sure isn't full of hate, usually. It's usually pretty benign. But then there's also the like, yeah, I like food photos. That's what my friends are showing me because that's what friends do. I want to know what you do in your life. And foods. We are mammals. It is important.
Yeah. No, I get it. I think it was just the whole thing, the whole influencer thing that turned into just like people who take pictures of their food and they get money for taking pictures of their food. I think that was like the biggest backlash.
Well, it's taken me until very recently. I can say the word influencer without wanting to gag. Yeah. And you're like, okay, this is just a thing now. I'm now accepting of it. But yeah, the first time they're like, I'm an influencer. And you're like, wait, that's their actual, wait, you can. Oh fuck! Our culture just made a shift.
In some way, or I don't think that I'm an influencer, but I'm in that same realm of content creation on the internet. I don't influence people to do anything. We're not sponsored by Gillette, and selling.
Dude, you should do every Mog Talk. You should be sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends.
Oh no, I know the people who push that.
Dude, you should. They'll pay like $1,300. Like apparently their marketing budget's fucking crazy. You should just take.
They have a lot of money.
Like $1,300 for a 1-minute ad for an episode. I was like, if you can get on the Raid Shadow Legends payroll, just take the money. Jesus Christ.
No,
just take it.
That's one of the things that I'm actually making sure that I avoid as much as possible now, because like the reason why I went to school and I tried to make sure I have a solid background is that I can do stuff that makes money and then creatively make whatever I want and not have it shaped by me trying to survive and pay my bills.
Well, and once your hobby becomes your job, it no longer becomes your hobby.
Yeah.
And then it's, and there are certain people that they can switch on that and they're super happy doing that and they're really happy. But generally speaking, once your hobby becomes your job, it's no longer fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nick, your face just got like really orange. And I just want to make sure that you aren't sick.
No, like, I actually don't know why my face is so orange.
It's like just half of it.
I think
it's the light. You have a light on your left that looks like it's a portal to terrible.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Here, what if I do this?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, see over here, it's all like fuzzy over here.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie though, I kind of miss the orange. I miss it a little bit.
Miss the what?
You like the yellow?
I miss the orange. Just a little bit.
No, I'm happy with who you are.
More orange than either one of you, even. Like
I'm like really white on mine. Like I'm dead sick, pale, like vampire, like white, and I need to change my white balance, I think.
No, Brian's like fine. You're too white, and I'm too orange.
This is as tan as I normally look. Generally, I look like I'm a property of the undead.
Let's see if I can change this. Oh,
I want to call this out now. We're talking about media earlier while Mark is fixing his tan situation.
Yeah, but it's a little bit better. That's a little bit better.
Yeah. You don't look like you're vitamin deficient.
Yeah.
Looks better. Nick, I finally watched The Babysitter. Did you see I posted it?
Oh, no, I didn't. I haven't gone in a while. Did you at least have fun watching it?
I gave it an A-.
Oh, good. Okay.
Oh, I feel even bad now thinking about it. It's great.
It's a lot of fun. It's hilarious. It has like all these homages to horror movies. It's just and she's great in it. So's the kid. It's just
so great.
Yeah, I enjoy that movie.
That reminds me. We do need to.
Get
a
Are you want
Halloween
like the horror game list for like Octoberish?
Yeah, we need to figure something out for that.
I was thinking about one. There is a game that is not defined as a horror, but kind of. I'm gonna have to go look it up.
No. If it's just like off, we need horror. We don't want this little fake horror. Like horror.
No, it'll be fine.
So how long does Disco Elysium take on average?
I think your note said like 12 hours, 10 hours, something like that. 20. Yeah.
Guys, I have to go to the bathroom.
Go run. I mean, we're finishing up here.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Okay.
So this thing's saying like 60 hours.
60 hours?
to get a good feel of the game, but you could probably beat it in 20. Like you just wouldn't get like a well-run. I think beating it in 20 would be like just blowing through NieR without doing anything else, and like being kind of confused about everything was going on because you didn't do a lot of the side stuff.
Really? So maybe that shouldn't be the one that we knock out next.
So what I was thinking is if it could take anywhere from 20 to 60 hours, that might take us through to October. So that might just be the next game we play for the next like 3 weeks. And then in October, we need a horror list. And I would actually kind of prefer to play a bunch of short games in October. So there's a lot of horror games
I think one horror game like a week would be actually kind of interesting, as long as we can keep them like shorter. There's a lot of really weird, goofy games out there that could be played that I think line up with horror and probably what we're looking for.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I would have to research it. Yeah.
So I'm kind of wondering why Brian turned off his camera, because So when he says I have to go to the bathroom, do you think he just stripped right there and ran?
Yes.
And then he comes back and puts on his clothes and then turns on the camera.
Yes, I mean that's what you do when you go to the bathroom. You have to get naked fully before you go to the bathroom, right? You don't want to like splash on your clothing or anything.
I get naked and then I put on a tie.
Okay. So do you hold it like it's something to hold on to?
No, it's a game, so it doesn't dangle on the. It's like an extra added thing, so I can make sure it doesn't get wet or damaged or anything like that.
So so it's just like you're going to the bathroom and then you're just making sure that there's nothing that comes back and hits you in the tie. It can hit you all over the body, but just not in the tie.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, what's up, man?
Very your clothes back on, Brian.
Yeah, you got clothes all the way back on?
I'm a grown up now.
Shuts the door too. You're all like official. You got your door shut.
There's no one coming in, like grabbing your children out of the room and pulling them off.
There's something else going on behind that closed door. I don't know what it is, but there's something going on.
I mean, obviously we can't see it.
Yeah.
Nope. Not in quarantine. But if Mark, you were brave enough to come on over.
That's true. If I was just a little bit braver.
If you're brave enough.
So maybe you guys talk about it. So in terms of games, maybe what we do is each of us come with 5 to 7 horror games we're interested in playing independently, see where we have overlap after that, and then maybe have like maybe create like an essential, like this is a mandatory, and you're like, all right, we all get one mandatory, and if Nick says we're playing,
what if it's ones that we've already played? Because we don't really know if it's mandatory until we played it, though, right? I mean, we can trust other reviews.
No. But if Nick says, like, I want us to play Lady Strawberry's Vicious Revenge, and you're like, I'd never heard of that weird dandy thing, but all right, it's Nick's mandatory. We're playing it.
Okay.
So I do have a mandatory for Halloween. Oh, no. I have to play a Resident Evil game. I have never played one before.
Hey, let's do it, because I just played the first 2 recently.
Which one haven't you played? Have you played 7? You played all the way through 7, right, Brian?
No, I have it. I was playing it through VR, but I didn't do it. Maybe
well, I mean, you don't have to play it through VR. You can play it normally.
It's like, what's even the point?
So, I mean, 7 would be a good one because I didn't play through it all the way. So I could go back and revisit it and play it.
Nick's never played any.
So, and 7's completely different than the other Resident Evils. It's like when they actually started to go back to just a straight horror game.
Yeah.
I did a podcast on the movies. I just never played the game.
Okay.
Do you have any? What your mandatory?
Me?
Yeah. Any inkling?
Dead Space 2, but I already played it, so Morales should do something.
Oh, that's funny. Dead Space 2 is the one I was thinking of.
Yeah. That's a wonderful one. But I feel like since at least 2 of us have already played it, it doesn't feel like a good game to put on that list.
Yeah.
There's probably
I was gonna say mandatory is almost just the mandatory is you get the choice, but it doesn't mean you've played it. Like we're not here's a mandatory horror list.
There's a mandatory one. So Dragon Ball Z Kakarot Story is hard.
That's the one you get. Like, okay, for you, my friend, I will play
a Dragon Ball Z horror game.
No, There's not.
No,
I'm just going to
he's
call it a
just
horror game and make you play it.
But you know, if you make us play it, that means you also have to play it.
I look forward to playing it. I actually
and not every game's going to have easy Super Ninja Skynet mode to get you through it. So
I don't feel bad. You can't make me feel bad for doing it.
I'm always up for you. Just do you. Doesn't bother me.
I mean, I love challenging myself and playing difficult settings if I feel like it's not just tedious. Like when you get to the hard level where it's just like tedious and not fun. For example, I think Dead Space 2, like its very hard mode was you had 4 saves. And to me, that's just like...
That's wow.
Hoping that you get to the save point that you want to without dying. And if you die, one little slip up, oh, well, now I have to redo everything. That's just tedious to me. So
yeah. I forgot to tell you about the tedious bullshit I had in NieR.
What is that?
Fuck, I totally forgot. Oh, I was infuriated. I had a glitch. When you beat it with A1, so when you beat
A2,
the tower,
not A1 sauce,
or when you're when you are A2, and it's the I think it's the soul tower, the soul box.
Okay.
At the very top, once you beat it and you walk on and you see, I think maybe it's B2, I forget, 9 sitting there, and it transitions. I had 2 dead bodies in front of me, and when I walked, my character would clip into this end cinematic, but I would clip from the 2 bodies, and I would be permanently walking. Oh. And then I had to redo that twice. So it was like an hour plus down on that. First time it happened, I was like, what the fuck? Oh, it's just weird glitch. So the second time I walked up and then I stuck, weird glitch. The third time I got up and I walked really close and I had to loot the bodies, even though I turned I turned it offline mode, but they were still stuck there. And I was able to loot them right before it entered the cinematic, and it was able to get me through. Otherwise, it just clipped me there. I was already so frustrated with the game, and it's the end of the game. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with it. And I was like, you did this, and you're like, oh, now you're really trolling me. Now you're coming at me real hard. And I actually went online because I was like, I don't know what to do on here. But that apparently there have been enormous problems with the corpses causing all kinds of fucking glitches. And that happened to some people online, yeah. No one had a solution. Luckily, mine worked out my way, but I was like, oh, wow, people having the same problem. The answer is good luck.
Yeah. There's a handful of things like that in the game.
A lot of them after the second time, I almost text you going, wish I could finish this game. I took a photo of it and was going to do a video of it, just being like, yep, fuck you, NieR. Yeah. Fuck you.
I think during the point where I think it's the beginning of playthrough C, or I forget exactly where it is, where you come down with it's not at the beginning of C, but when you're coming down from the station after everyone's infected and everything else, and 2B crashes. I saved the moment I hit the ground, and then after I got out of the menu, I died. And like, luckily enough, I was able to like just go out, because that whole scene, for some reason, like the bullet hell thing was a little bit rough for a second, and I just ended with low health. And I was like, I just really don't want to go through this again, because I already did it once, where I had to go through that whole process and situation where I'm going through. I forget what it was. It was at the end of, was it the hacking part? Yeah, it was the end of the hacking part, and you go up to the space station, and you go through all the space station stuff, but I saved right before I went up to the space station, so I had to redo all that stuff when I died right at the end of the bullet hell thing, and I was so pissed about that I just saved that instant, and I'm glad I did, because apparently you keep your same health as soon as you land, and that robot next to me just stepped on me and killed me, and this was before I had messed with the easy setting stuff, but...
Oh, okay. I was like... That was easy, didn't it?
I was getting frustrated. I was just at the point of like, I need to just stop.
Yeah.
But
so I just saw someone in chat mentioned it, which is actually a really thing, the Friday the 13th game. Yeah, actually, that's something I've seen pop up in different areas, and for us, I feel like that's a fun one we should try.
We could try it. That game is It's like a good bad game, and unfortunately, that game's never ever going to get any updates, and they're never going to make a game like that again because the rights were sold out. But so like there's some cool skins if you're into the Friday the 13th movies, and it's a cool idea to play. We would have to play it as a group. We should not play that independently.
Oh yeah, no, I think that'd be fun. Well, because how many people? It's multiplayer, right? So one person's Jason, and then the other people are like the victims.
Just the campers. And
you call them campers. I call them victims.
How many people do you need to play it? Is 3 fine?
I want to say like there's like 5 victim camper people, and then there's 1 Jason person, and it's the same thing every single time. I think like the victims have to find like a battery to start the car.
It's not called Friday the 13th. That's called something else, isn't it?
That's Friday the 13th.
Is it called Friday the 13th? And it's just like I thought it was different, like horror, villains, and you went through and you're like the people running from the villain, or you're the villain, and it was called something else, like maybe that's Daybreak, something. What was
Could be a different game.
I don't know.
I think there actually is a game that's similar to this that uses a lot of like
Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, and that has like Freddy in it and stuff like that too. But this one, Friday the 13th, is specifically just Jason. It's supposed to be a decent game. It's just there's not a lot to it. I think it really has a lot of it has a huge fan base. I think in Germany or something like that. It started to die down quite a bit in the U.S.
I just remember when the game came out. It was the kind of game that I remember some of the reviews were, well, that shouldn't have been even close to as much fun as it was. Like it's like, and I think someone in chat, it's shitty but fun, but Friday, and it's like then those games are great, and you're like, this shouldn't be this much fun.
We could dedicate just a show to playing the game. How long does a session take?
Oh, I don't know. It's not long. I watched it for a little. I've seen quite a few games, and I want to say they're like 10, 15 minutes each or something like that.
Yeah. We could just get on and play that.
Is it PC or console?
I don't know. I've only seen it play on PC. It might be. There might be other systems. I don't know why you wouldn't play it with a mouse and a keyboard, because it's kind of this third person. You'd be slow, I think, if you played it any other way.
Or we could just pick another night that we just play it together and we just do it off stream or whatever. I'm fine.
That's a really good idea, though. We should probably try it.
Okay. So we have some groundwork here. Resident Evil, Friday 13th. I need to find it. I'm pretty sure I could find a horror game that I would want us all to play. That you probably
did you ever play? What is it called? Until Dawn.
I've seen it enough. It's basically like a horror movie game.
Yeah. It's like a choice horror movie.
It has the guy, Freddie Mercury, Hacker Man guy. Yeah.
But there's a bunch of games like that too. These kind of like choices matter, the outcome, and they're horror games.
I mean, I haven't played it, so we could play it. I could put that on the possible side here in my little notepad.
I don't know if I want to play that game, but
there's always didn't Mark? Are you the one that never played Alien Isolation?
I kept trying, and the style of game doesn't. I don't like things learning, and having to hide and sit and just wait and hope that it goes away and not being able to shoot things. And
so you want a horror game, but you want the ability to attack it.
No, so I played Outlast, and it's not that at all. But the pacing and how it felt was much more enjoyable. Alien Isolation, I felt like there's just way too much like patience involved with the game. Like the patience.
The very end of the game was like that for me. Like the last quarter of it, you're just like, oh come on. There's too many aliens.
Yeah.
Or like I still think the first half of Alien Isolation is one of the best horror.
It's really, really cool. The setting was awesome. The kind of story stuff that it was doing was pretty cool. I liked going and playing the game. I just it got to a point to where I was just like, I want to experience what's around me and not just hide and go through this whole hiding mission for an hour or two. It just was kind of annoying.
No, I can see that.
But I can think of. I mean, you guys can play Outlast if you want. It's one of the best horror games that I played. But it's I've already played that one, so I feel like it's a little bit. I haven't played Outlast 2, but I played Outlast 1.
I was gonna say there's a sequel.
Yeah.
Is there a Zelda horror game, like a fan-made one? That would be ridiculous.
I'm sure there is. Absolutely.
It's like, have you seen like Resident Evil 2? What's the name of the big bad in 2 that shows up with the top hat?
Mystery, I think, is it something like that?
That's the original name, but they up Tyrant. The Tyrant.
Tyrant. Okay.
That's what they call him, the Tyrant. I've seen some really great mods where it's like, you know, it's Shrek shows up, or the Thomas the Tank.
Thomas the Train.
That one's the one. Thomas the Train. That's the one that kills me when he's chasing you. Those are pretty good.
And there's a lot of those games, which is like scary little dumb games that you just have to, like, what was the Slender Man game? And there's a whole bunch of those types of games out there, where it's just you just.
I played Slender Man, yeah.
Yeah, it's dumb little creepypasta scary games.
Yeah.
What about Soma? What do you guys know about that game?
I played that.
Yeah. I bought that.
Yes.
Soma was.
I liked it.
I liked it a lot. I played it in Portland, but Soma was one of the first times where I had been waiting for it to come out, especially because how much I'd loved Amnesia. And then it came out, and I went down to my local game store, and I went and I was like, "Oh, do you guys have Soma?" And they all literally looked at me like I made the game up. And I was like, "You don't have Soma? It's a PS4 game." And then they had to look it up, and it was like, "Oh, this is a digital only release." Well, I'm the fool. I have shamed my family, and I will take care of myself. Good day. It didn't even occur to me that it wasn't going to be in box. I was like, "This is a big student." I guess not. But yeah, the way that I went in saying, "Yeah, I have Soma," and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, I was at a proper game store. It wasn't even like I went to Target and I was talking to them, and they're like,
right.
"You're just making video games up. We don't play dad games like that here." It's like, what?
Yeah.
So there is a game that's on sale right now that
go on.
It's been on my list, for my wish list for a while. It's horror-ish, maybe. It's called Death and Taxes, and you're like a skeleton in like it looks like hell, and you do taxes.
I mean, that does sound like a different kind of hell. Yeah, horror.
Yeah.
I think we should. Well, I mean, it might be good to have like a funny game in between all the really horror games. But...
I'll tell you a horror game that'll make you feel like you actually wish you were living with zombies. Go play Papers, Please.
Yeah. I've played through that a couple of times.
That is like the most emotionally gut-wrenching game. It's like, oh.
Mark, did you recommend Detention
yes,
a month ago? Okay, so I have that on my list too.
Yeah. I mean, if you guys want to play it, feel free, and we can count that as one too, because I didn't play it. I mean, I played it recently. It wasn't something I played like decades ago. And you guys thought I was making that up too. I remember that.
Yeah, that is fun when you make up games. Yeah. Not like Nick's made up games.
Corn. That's not a word.
Corn. That's not even a word roulette fake game.
All right.
When I first started listening to games, Mark couldn't get off of it. He's just like, "Oh, here comes Nick with, I don't know what any of these are. I don't know."
Yeah, just because it's so weird. Like, it's all right. I thought like I knew some interesting games, but then like you come along and you're just like saying things.
You thought you were a hipster, boy, howdy.
Yeah. But I guess we can go to wrap it up. We've been going for nearly 3 hours now. Yeah.
Wow.
And then we'll see. I guess our goal, we're all trying Disco Elysium. It's going to take a little bit, like to actually have a real playthrough. You said, Nick, right? Like 40 hours is what.
Well, I think it's 20 just to jump through, and if you want to get like a good feel and play like a lot of extra stuff, I think it could be up to 60.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I was thinking that if we play it, it might be the game that we play up until horror time. Maybe not. But there's 3 weeks left in the month.
Yeah, there's 3 more Wednesdays.
Yeah.
3 Wednesdays this month.
I think it will definitely take up 2 Wednesdays.
Probably won't be completely done by next show, but maybe we'll be done by the show after that, I think. So we'll see. Okay, so let's do that. I'm happy with that. I think as long as, I mean, it has really good ratings. I'm not expecting to be disappointed. I'll be very upset if it's not a good game.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
But all right, I guess we'll go ahead and sign off for this week. It's a pleasure as always, and thank you anyone who's listening or watching. And let's so take your hand and just kind of like move it side to side here.
But Dad, I don't want to.
Bye. Come on, say bye.
Bye.
Thank you for all the recommendations of horror games. Really appreciate it. Bye.
All right, hold on.